Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Art.
Okay. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Catherine, are you in the wilderness or not?
No, I'm still in Texas. I'm leaving on Saturday for Minnesota. So
Okay.
Minnesota.
yeah. Gonna be in my 8x8 cabin.
Sounds wonderful.
Well, it would have been really bad, when we were having the freeze down here because it was really cold up there.
What
Sherry Johnson, Gerald is there.
It was like 50 below. I mean, they were having, yeah, it was pretty intense. Okay, there's Beth. Okay. Sarah Joan. Oh, and there's Sarah. Okay. Oh, okay, let me get my. Okay, it looks like we're all here. Do I have the right agenda up for myself? It looks like I do. So I'm going to go ahead and, are we recording yet, Bill?
Yes, it's recording.
Okay. And did somebody just pop in 7456 or?
Yes.
Yes, hello, that's me. This is Julie Johnson.
Julie Johnson. Okay. Okay, so let me get my agenda up. Okay, so Sarah Teal, did you want to make a public comment?
No, thank you.
And no agenda item?
No.
Okay, thank you. Gerald, did you want to make a public comment or a comment about an agenda item?
No, thank you. Not tonight. I have too many fires I had to put out this week.
I understand. Sherry Johnson, did you have a public comment or did you want to make a comment about an agenda item?
No, thank you. I'm just here to listen.
Okay, and how about you, Julie Johnson? Did you want to make a public comment or a comment about an agenda item?
Well, I'm here about agenda item 5E. I live on Dagama Court and I wanted to hear about that item.
Okay, so, but you didn't want to make a public comment about it or anything like that?
Well, I will say I do have concerns as a resident on the court. I did read what the request was, and I feel that, this court just cannot accommodate the traffic and parking and various things that a group home would bring to the court. So I guess I did want to state that.
Okay. Okay, so has anybody else jumped on the phone call while I was looking at the agenda? It doesn't look like it. So I am going
David
to...
Flores.
Oh, David Flores. Oh, I'm sorry, David. Did you want to make a public comment?
Yes, just a public comment tonight.
Okay, well, hold on. Jimmy, are you going to be my timekeeper?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Well, start when you need to, David.
Okay. It's pretty quick. After last month's meeting, when I was listening to Herb speak and you were going over a bunch of things on the agenda, I was a little disappointed with the way that Beth Jones conducted herself last week. I felt that she was more for the vendors than for the people of this district. I think Beth Jones should really take a look at why she's doing this job, and that she remember the oath that she took. And the vendors work for us, the people that live in this district. To choose the vendors over the residents that live here, I believe is an insult to the residents that live in this district. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Now, I'm trying to remember, Rafi, is that how you pronounce your name? I know I'm going to have you talk during on a specific agenda item, but did you want to make a public comment before we move to the agenda?
No, I'll wait till,
Okay.
thank you.
Oh,
Nice to
and
meet-
it looks okay. And it looks like Jana has joined us. Jana, did you want to make a public comment or a comment about an agenda item?
No, thanks.
Okay. Okay, so have I gotten everybody who's called in?
We have one other person.
Yeah, this is Pete Lipscomb, 2703 Degama Court.
Oh, okay, Pete. Okay, did you want to make a public comment? Or
no, I'm good
about
for
an
now.
agenda item?
No, I'm okay for now.
Okay. Okay, so it looks like I've touched on everybody, so I'm going to go ahead and close the public comments portion of the meeting. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to, what agenda item is it? It is
5E.
5E. And so we're going to go to 5E, and then we can, and I guess should we just start by having Raphael make a, make a comment, and then we can talk about more about what we have to do as a district, correct, Bill?
Sure. Well, in the packet, we have a letter that the attorney sent on her behalf, but I think it would be appropriate for her to address the board on the request.
Okay. Yeah, I have to unmute myself. Go ahead. You've got the floor.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Rafi, and I am a new neighbor to the community, and I'm really excited to be a part of it. I personally am moving into the BeachNet house that Luis used to live in, and so moving in on Saturday. And in parallel, I reached out to Catherine and Beth in advance about my intention. I also own a home on Dogma Court, and what I would like to do is I would like to turn it into a care home for seniors to live together and share the cost of care. There are about 60 of these across Austin area, and basically you're able to turn a home into a small assisted living home for the state allows any residential home to be up to 16 people. It's licensed by the state. What it does is it provides an option for aging in a home, which is what everybody wants to do. Nobody wants to go to a big facility, but if you can't afford 24/7 personal home care, and you don't want to go into a big box facility, which most people don't, what care homes offer is a way to be in a home setting, often in a neighborhood that you've been living in for decades or near your adult children, so that you're in a residential setting, you're getting high quality care, you're in a community with roommates, basically, and you're sharing the cost of a caregiver. And it kind of gives the best of all worlds. And I really am super excited to be doing this in the Anderson Mill area because I did a lot of research, and it seems like there are a lot of adult children, so age 45 to 65, who are starting to think about what am I going to do for my mom or dad? And this creates an amazing option for the community to choose something in the neighborhood. And so what I wanted to do is, I guess what I can do actually, I shared with Catherine and Beth a couple, like an overview that I made. I don't know if it's helpful to kind of share more about what a care home is, but what I'd like to do is turn the home on Dogma Court into a home that allows for more than one family, more than one unrelated person. So because it's going to be different individual seniors, I reached out proactively to the MUD to say, hey, I noticed this deed restriction that restricts to single family. This is what I would like to do. This is why I think, this is why we think it's allowed, and we want to work with you guys instead of just going ahead and doing it and then, you know, waiting to inevitably get a letter, because you guys are an active community and I respect that. I wanted to proactively work with you guys and collaborate to make sure that this is done in a way that is most collaborative and useful to the community. And I guess I'll address what I talked to Catherine and Beth. So let me just address things that I think everybody cares about. One is like, is there gonna be a bunch of parking everywhere? And the answer is no. There are residents that live in the home and they do not drive, so they are not going to have cars. There is going to be typically one caregiver at the home. So one car, sometimes two when they're changing shifts, and they're going to be parking on our driveway. Our driveway has space for 4 cars. So we're going to be utilizing our personal driveway. There's not going to be an issue around like street parking, which I know is especially important because it's in a small circle. Second is there going to be a nuisance? Also answer is no. These are seniors who want to live in the home, and it's gonna be like any other house. I'm actually working at another care home like this in another neighborhood nearby, and you drive by, you have no idea what's like, that it was not any other house. So everybody just wants to be living inside the home. And so I think those are the two concerns, like if I were learning about this as a neighbor, that I would really care about. And I guess the third and like the purpose of deed restrictions is to maintain the value of the properties. And on that, again, this is a home, it's remaining a home, and it isn't going to impact, like, it's gonna be like any other house in the area. So with that, I will tell people, I will kind of open it up. I don't know.
Okay. Okay, so Bill, let me ask you some questions. What is the process that we need to follow? Now, in her letter, she provided some case law that is very recent and was in Austin that basically talked about, that's going to give us some guidance as to what reasonable accommodations are. So what is it that we need to do in order to facilitate this process?
Okay. Catherine also had Eric Gomez has joined. He's the attorney representing him.
Oh, okay.
He may have some other
Okay.
information for you.
Okay.
Basically, we need to review the legal contentions in the letter as to whether this residence will qualify under state law, which would entitle it to an exemption to the single family residential use exemption. And
Okay.
we're looking at that. We're very close to recommendations to the board. That's the primary issue for the MUD. Now, there are some changes proposed to the house that we might want to ask some questions about, but that's primarily an ACC issue if any changes affect the exterior. And so that's the process we're going through. If the legal conclusion is they're exempt from the single family restriction by law, there's really nothing for the MUD to do except recognize that. It wouldn't be an exception to the deed restriction. It would
Okay.
be and the primary questions I had were related to the plans to alter the house. And they submitted, it's in your packets, a very simple floor
Okay.
layout, current and proposed. And I was assuming, and maybe wrongly, that the garage door would stay in place.
You assume correctly. We will leave the front facade the same.
So you'll be taking the space of the garage for bedrooms, but on the outside, the garage door will remain, so it'll look the same.
Yes.
But the sketch did look like maybe you were adding one window
Yes.
to the garage side of the garage.
Yes, we want to add a window because the room needs a window. And we will use the same exact window design as all the other windows so that it looks continuous throughout, but it'll be on the side of the home.
Yeah, will that be the only modification to the exterior? The one window?
It's a window on each side. So one of the windows is actually when the garage like juts out when you walk up to the house. So the window is just looking out to the like kind of right near the front door, and then on the other side, which is facing the neighbors, that's where the other window would be.
Oh, out to the porch area?
No, on the I believe my neighbor's
Side yard? It's looking over the side yard, isn't it? Isn't that what it's doing? Yeah.
Yeah, the off the garage, but then it looks like you're adding a window for bedroom 7 that opens to the porch. Unless I'm reading that wrong.
Oh, yes. The porch is where the front door is. My architect called it a porch, but it's really just, it's the front.
Yeah, yeah. It's got a small overhang. Yeah, it's too small to become a porch. I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's generous.
Yeah. Okay, so have you already started modifications? What's your timeline?
I want to work. I don't want to start anything
Okay.
until we're all aligned, and I'm hoping that we can get aligned in the next few weeks so that I can start. But I'm not going to start.
Okay, that's fine. So you're adding a bathroom?
Yes.
Okay, so you're actually then going through the whole permitting process with Cedar Park then, correct? Because
this is unincorporated, so I work with Travis County.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. You're right. It's Travis County.
Yeah, Cedar Park stopped the building permits.
Yeah, but see, I thought that Cedar Park was still doing building permits on huge, huge expansions, like when the guy over there built on was it Blazing Star built a brand new garage on the other side of his house, or that house next to 1000 Old Mill literally added an addition to the back of the house that was as big as the original house. He added a 2-story addition. Those kinds of additions, I think Cedar Park is still asking for building permits on.
I think if it involves plumbing or electrical, you'll need a permit. But she'll get hers from Travis.
Yeah. Okay, so
by the book here.
Bill, can I ask a question? Okay, so what you're saying is that you want to look to determine if they meet the requirements for an exception to single family because there are unrelated persons living in the home. So my issue is that the term single family is a land use designation that is typically used in property code development, land use planning, long-term planning. It doesn't always, the definition of single family use doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the occupancy of the home. It uniformly has to do, however, with the actual form of the development. So the common understanding of a single family use is that it is a single dwelling unit on a lot completely detached from any other dwelling unit. So something that would not be a single family dwelling unit would be a duplex, townhomes, fourplexes, multiplexes, apartment buildings. But if you have a standalone home on a lot, at least in terms of land use form, that's considered single family use. So there are certainly places that have add-ons to that definition of single family that have things about number of unrelated persons. And right now I'm not talking about these sort of special community living facilities. I'm just sort of talking in general about single family, and I'll sort of get around to why I think this is relevant in a second. But to my knowledge, we don't have, and maybe I'm wrong, a definition of single family for our deed restrictions that touches on occupancy at all. So my interest in this is that we certainly have other single family homes in the district that have unrelated persons living together. And so if we're saying what she's doing is by having unrelated persons living there is violating the single family definition, then we sort of have other, then that sort of leads to a question of where else is this happening in the district? To me, I don't think that since we don't have a definition that has anything to do with occupancy, to me, the form of development is what is important to me. So unless we have homes in the district that are that have been converted to duplexes or multiplexes or something that I'm unaware of, I don't view the homes where unrelated people are living there as violations of single family, because I view single family as a land use designation. So I guess my question is, if the path we're going down is, does this constitute a legal exception to single family? How does that differ from the other homes in the district where we have unrelated people living together?
Well, primarily the difference here is there's state law in the property code that specifically says a restriction regarding single family use is not enforceable if the house or the operation in the house qualifies as a community home under the definition in the statute. And their attorney has asserted that it does, and that's what we're doing. So that's a much clearer route to not enforcing, because state law would prohibit enforcement. The other things that you're describing are more, they exist. I agree that there are houses obviously have unrelated people in the district. We know that. But often the houses that have more than a couple people unrelated create other deed restriction violations, parking issues, nuisance issues, noise, and so forth. And so historically, we've not gone door to door looking for unrelated people. But if they create other deed restriction violations, we do look at those on a case-by-case basis. Mm-hmm. So I don't think this falls in the same category of somebody that would not qualify under state law, a clear exemption under state law. Those others would be reviewed on a case-by-case basis, and that's what we've done on single-family use. The declaration does have a single-family use restriction along with a restriction on the structure, so it's both structural and use in section 17.
Yes, but without a definition of what constitutes single family, it's hard, because what's a family? So
operational, yeah, there's so many definitions for that. My understanding is that this MUD has not enforced single family homes. That's that particular clause in the deed for decades.
Well, we've enforced it on a case-by-case basis when it's brought to our attention, and when it's an extreme case of the other violations, not that they're just unrelated, but the other violations are objectionable. That's when we've looked at it. Yes.
And listen, I've worked on a few of these, and this isn't in an HOA. And normally I would just go about my business and like my not a business, but go about my day and proceed without proactively reaching out to a city, asking about a single family restriction. But, you know, I have realized, like, you guys are an active community. It would be inevitable that somebody would say something. And so instead of me waiting, I wanted to proactively reach out and work with you guys. Normally, like I didn't need to necessarily bring this up proactively, but I want to, because I know that you guys are active and it's inevitable that it's going to be brought up. So I'd rather just work together from the get-go. and
Right.
be aligned. And that's really my intention.
I do
And
have a question.
I think that's a very good approach, because what would happen if you had just proceeded and we didn't know about it, we'd start getting complaints about whatever's going on in there, and then we'd have to go through this process of finding out what's going on, what are you doing, who's in there, does it qualify under the state statute? So if we can look at it up front, it's going to be much better for everybody.
I do have a question that I saw the letter from the attorney this week, and my concern from the letter that changed from when we spoke was that you had asked for it to be waived on parking in the street. And that's my biggest concern, because where you're located, there isn't room on the street for parking there. But I do know that where your new home is, where you're residing, you could put 4 or 5 cars on the street and it wouldn't be a problem at all. So there's a part of me that wonders if you would switch so that you could have more parking at the other residence, and then you live in the residence on Dagama, so that it wouldn't be a parking issue at all.
I plan to use the driveway. I will let Eric jump in if he wants. I think I think there's one space in front of my house on Dagama, and if somebody parks there, I don't want to get a fine for it. And I think we were just trying to like cover our bases in case somebody.
We just have to make sure that your rules are the same as everybody else's on the street, because it wouldn't be fair if you were able to park on the street, but then nobody else on the street was able to park there. So that's the issue that just would not, I just can't see that working.
I let me jump in here. I think that you're probably going down the right path in that parking is not going to be an issue. The only time I think parking is going to be an issue is if there was something going on and you had family members that were at the house overnight. And that is when there's going to be, parking issues. And not having been, exposed to a care facility situation, I don't know if relatives come and stay overnight with their in the facility, if there's something going on with their parent or something like that. I don't know how those policies play out. So I agree. I'm hoping that from a process point of view, there's not going to be a parking problem because remember, it's about overnight parking, meaning, before midnight all the way through after midnight, into the morning. And I'm anticipating that, your residents are going to be sleeping, and there's not going to be an issue for lots of cars. Now, there's nothing preventing, the relatives of your residents from coming and parking in the cul-de-sac or in the neighborhood to come visit their family that during the day. That is an expected activity for anybody who lives in the neighborhood, that you get guests during the day. And so that's not my issue. No, but I wanted to bring up something else. Am I remembering it, or am I remembering it wrong? Did I read it wrong that your company is a nonprofit?
It's not a nonprofit.
Okay. I thought I saw something in what I was reading that there was a nonprofit involved here somewhere. Okay.
And
now
the parking thing, there's going to be 1 car in the driveway. There's 3 spots in the driveway. There's 4 spots on the driveway. So there's one, I definitely, of all the things, I feel really good, confident that we will let families know, hey, please park in the driveway, and that'll be part of our procedure. That I'm very happy to work with you guys on that.
And I thought that she wasn't actually asking about on-street parking, and maybe I'm wrong, but the way I read the letter is she was asking for kind of relief potentially from the number of visible cars, not necessarily that they were on the street. At least that's what I remember reading.
Correct. And Eric can correct us, but his letter doesn't refer to the overnight parking provision or the number necessarily the number of cars for that reason. There is a provision in the Section 17 declaration that says lot owners shall not keep more than 2 automobiles in such manner as to be visible from any other property within the subdivision for any period in excess of 72 hours. That's the 72 hour. Years ago, we looked at the 72-hour rule, which applies in several of the sections. And it is essentially impossible to enforce because that's 72 hours continuously. So you have 3 vehicles out there for 12 hours and 1 vehicle moves for an hour, comes back. So we've not been enforcing that provision for as long as I've been involved. That's a different regulation than overnight parking. I don't think they've asked to be exempt from the overnight parking rule. Is that correct, Eric?
Yes, that's what the letter was speaking to the fact that I don't think the deed, the covenants and restrictions in the deed really get to much of the parking situation at all. So it's a little ambiguous for us to try to figure out if we needed to ask for an exemption or exception from something that, you know, and what exactly the restrictions were in the first place.
Okay, so Bill, how long do you think it's going to take you to do your review? Are you going to be able to come back at the March meeting and discuss this in detail and give a recommendation and a procedure, so to speak?
And the people that are on the call that live on that street, I don't know what their questions are or anything. So how do they go about if they still have a concern? I don't know if they do or not, but.
Well, the answer to Catherine's question is yes, we'll be ready next board meeting, the next board meeting. Probably would like to talk to the board in executive session before we vote on it, just to go over the legal analysis. And the residents who have concerns can certainly make public comments at that meeting prior to our voting. Or I guess if they have concerns, we could ask them to email them to.
And I think that's the path that I'd like to go down is let's go ahead and have them email the customer care. Mackenzie, we've got a specific email address for customer care, don't we?
I don't think so. We have a customer service email from Infomark's standpoint that we can.
No, I thought we had a direct customer care. Okay, well, let's do this. Let's go ahead and give me a.
Can I just offer
Sure.
to any of my neighbors to please, if you have concerns, like feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to be at the house tomorrow morning. You're welcome to come see it. I can give y'all my cell phone number now. My number is 713-501-2515. And I want to be a great neighbor to everybody. We want to be great neighbors. And I've worked on this before and we are great neighbors. And I am totally happy to chat with anybody and make sure that as we go about this, we are not bothering anyone.
Well, I hope that this is a success, that it will be a great benefit to the neighborhood. And I suspect that you're probably on the leading edge of a different type of community care.
Absolutely.
So, but one more thing is you're being, the number of people in the house is being dictated to you by other regulatory statute, and a number of caregivers is being dictated to you by the other. Okay.
Yes.
So, okay. So assuming that we can get this resolved in the March meeting, how quickly do you think that you're going to be moving on from there then?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm going to start working on like setting a date on construction then. And
okay.
I hope to open April, May.
Okay.
Catherine, just as clarification, the MUD board does not approve modifications to the exterior.
Yes.
That's ACC.
Yes.
So you may want to start that process as well, because we'll be giving you an answer on what we determine we can enforce as far as deed restrictions, but we don't approve or disapprove modifications to the house, which the ACC has jurisdiction on external changes.
Okay.
So I'll start that in parallel.
Okay, so is there any other questions or comments from the board?
Thank you for coming to talk to us.
Thank you.
Good luck. It sounds like a wonderful idea.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to working with everybody here on this. Thanks.
So then is it your plan to actually work at that facility, since it's going to be your facility rather than working in somebody else's facility? Is that your plan then?
Mhm.
So you'll live on Beach Nut and then go to work on Jagama Court.
Yeah, and as you know, if we do another one in Pflugerville or somewhere else, I'll hire I found somebody who used to work at Brookdale who is going to help kind of lead the charge at the Dagama house. So it's awesome to have like the best in class care for 8 people. It's going to be really, really exciting.
Great.
Okay. Okay, so let's jump up to the top of the agenda. Okay, so agenda item 2, report from the district landscape. Do we have anything on that, Mackenzie?
Have a report from them per se, but we do have 2 proposals that we've received in regards to doing the limb stuff, but that's further down in the agenda.
Okay, but nobody from Sunscapes is on the call right now.
And I don't think they were asked to be either.
Oh, okay. Okay, agenda item 3, report from the infrastructure committee. Okay, let's talk about the cost estimate for 3008 Cottonweed. So what's going on with that?
And to be fair, this is kind of like a cost estimate between the 2. So sorry, I had to get onto my dogs. So we came back, Robert did produce a quote for me, and you're looking at upwards of around $10,000 if we were to try to relocate it over closer to the sidewalk. That being said, though, I received a call yesterday from the homeowner of 3010 who reported to me that initially the current person living there, his tenant and himself, did not want the tree to go, and now they understand the concerns that it poses to both their sewer line as well as their neighbors, as well as the districts, and they do want the tree to go, but I think they're looking to the district for you to take the tree down. And their concern is that when we did dig, we had to take away some of the roots, which is true. Granted, the root structure was not very wide or large, and about half of it is still intact, and we've since then put dirt back in it. But they're trying to use that as their leverage to say that they're okay if the tree wants to go, and I'm assuming at the expense of the district.
Okay.
And the expense to just raise that stack, because I wanted to have a good difference in price for you all, of if we just raised it after the tree was removed, it's about $3,500 is a good guesstimate of what you're looking at to just raise it above ground level.
Okay. And correct me, Bill, we're responsible for keeping the stacks accessible, correct?
Yeah, that's the district responsibility.
Okay. Okay.
I mean,
Okay,
as far as raising them and repairing them and things, that's
Right.
district responsibility.
Okay, so then, okay, so explain to me this nebulous issue of, okay, the tree. Who's responsible for dealing with the tree?
I think they are, aren't they?
The tree, well, the tree is in the way. It's in the easement, so we have a right to remove it.
Okay,
We
so
don't have
there's,
an obligation to replace it, but if the tree were actually damaging our line, then that would probably be the owner's expense to remove the tree because it was damaging. But we have the right to take it out. I just don't know how much money we're talking about. Mackenzie, do you have any idea on the tree?
okay, so you've actually answered the question that I was trying to get at, is that there isn't an issue about, from an easement point of view, of going onto the property and removing the tree in order to then come back and raise the stack. Because, I'm sort of thinking about this on this, along the same line that when PEC came in, with their chainsaws and just started taking down, all the trees around my electrical box. They took, and then I had a neighbor where they took everything out. The electrical box is now completely exposed, where before it was, covered by red tip photinias all the way around it. So we don't have any issue in terms of if we make the decision from a legal point of view of, yes, we can go in there, we can take the tree down.
That's correct.
Okay. So I guess then we have to decide what we're going to do. I think we have an obligation to raise the stack. I think the cheapest solution is going to be to take the tree down and raise the stack versus relocating it. Am I correct?
Yes, you are correct. I was going to suggest that we can reach out to Sunscapes and see if they would be willing to provide a quote. I can also reach out to Texas Tree Service, but the last time I did, they informed me that they are currently extremely swamped from the weather event. So I don't know that it's likely they'll be willing to provide one for such a small job, but I can definitely pursue quotes from both of them just to have that tree removed prior to us raising the stack.
Okay.
And I will have that hopefully back to me, I'm sure, long before the March meeting. And then we can have a customer care committee meeting just to kind of discuss that and Infomark's cost involved so that we are prepared to bring it to the board at the next meeting.
I have a question for Bill. Bill, what kind of easement rights does the sewer line have on property? I didn't realize there was a sewer easement.
Well, I'm pretty sure there's a PUE across the front of the lot. I'd have to look at the plat, but we have
Public utility.
right it would, per plat, which would include sewer and water.
Okay, thank you. I didn't think of that. Thank you.
Okay. So 3B, request for qualifications for district services. I'm going to fall down on my sword. I did not follow up on this from last week. I've been swamped with so many
I
other
did,
things.
Catherine.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you for saving me.
Well, look, Linda wrote a draft. It's very comprehensive. It details all the qualifications on the RFQ. The question I had for Linda was if it was a request for quote. No, and it was just a request for qualifications. I understand that this type of contract is a two-tier type where you go out for qualifications and negotiate, I guess, rates after.
Right.
So you pick a contractor.
Right.
My issue is, and I know I seconded this last week, is if we're going out for requests for qualifications, what's the purpose of that? Because in my mind, going back in history, I've been working with Gray Engineering for what, 8 years now, and in every element that Linda identified in that RFQ, they've never faulted on any of those elements. Their knowledge, their expertise, their consulting, their utility, their knowledge of CEQ, their knowledge of city codes, their consulting, their reporting is all intact. So do we really want to go out for an RFQ if the contractor we currently have is doing the job we need him to do?
Let me answer you, Art. Let me try to answer you
Okay.
anyways.
All right.
The TCEQ suggests that we reevaluate our contracts every 5 years. And that doesn't mean
it's a recommendation, right?
it's a recommendation, and it's done to assure the constituents that we are mindful of their money and that we are always seeking the best value for their dollar. That doesn't mean that Gray Engineering would not come in and be that dollar and that best value. But if we never go out and check, then we're not doing our due diligence.
And I totally agree with you.
Herb's contract
I
has
do.
been here 28 years. We've not ever compared it to something else, or it's not been compared to anything else for 28 years. An RFQ doesn't obligate you to change your contractor. It just reassures everybody that you're getting the best value for the money.
Okay, so it's basically an invitation for other firms to come in and see if they want to do business with us.
And what they would charge us, and what do they offer that maybe, you know, I've not been on the infrastructure committee. So what does another firm offer that maybe we don't even know is out there? I mean, if you never look, you can't say with certainty that you do have the best value. You're just, you can't say that.
Well, okay, so I want to say something else about that too. You and I, we both agreed on the services contract with Waste Management. I'm going to pick on them again. And after our findings and after the studies, we found out that they actually have a great service history with us. Their percentage is like, I think you figured it out at 98 or 99%.
Oh yeah, they were good. Yeah.
Okay, see, and that was an evaluation that you and I, and of course, Infomark looked at, and we determined, no, they're doing a good job for us. There's no need to have them do an action plan for improved services or not.
Right.
Okay, well, in this case, any legal services or any professional engineering services or accounting services, we hire them for their qualifications, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. And then we make sure that we periodically make sure that we get the best value for our money. We don't know that if we stay with the same contractor and just increase rates. We just don't know if it's the best value. There's a reason why TCEQ recommends that. And one of the other reasons is when you have a contractor for 28 years, you start doing business in a more friendly manner and not according to the contract. And then things start to get convoluted, and we have the situation that we have today with the gray engineering work. Not that Herb doesn't do great work, that's never been an issue, but he's not adhering to the contract, which means we truly have nothing, no buffer between the people and the money. The contract is that buffer. It's what puts checks and balances in place to make sure that we are only paying for services that we agreed to by the contract. When you start stepping out of that, you have no way to reassure your constituents that their best interest is the one that you're protecting. And
Now,
that's why I think it's time to do it.
Okay, and I agree with you there. But isn't that onus fall on me as a committee to say, oh, you know what, that was my fault. I should have adhered to the contract. I should have made him, hey, Herb, we got to retract. We got to go back and do it this way. You know?
I don't know. I don't know whose responsibility or how that ever fell by the wayside. I don't know. I don't know how long that's been going on. But the point I want to make is it really is a minimal expense to request qualifications from other professionals in the field, evaluate them, and then make a decision. And if Herb comes out as the best value, then what is the harm? What is the harm in looking?
Well, let me
that's
jump
where
in
I
here.
kind of
Go ahead, Beth.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it's the same thing that I heard in the comments earlier is that, Herb has done a fantastic job all these years. And, if we choose to look elsewhere, we do. But, I'm just going to say for the record that it's so important that while he is the person that works for us, is that we treat him with the most up respect that we can. And that's exactly what happened last week, is this guy has just done a fabulous job for us. And if we go look elsewhere, do. But while he's still with us, I think that he deserves every high five that we can give him because he's been so articulate and done. I mean, it's been perfect every time. So Catherine, go ahead.
Okay, so the point
We
that,
just owe him a lot of respect.
what I was gonna jump in and say is that what this process has revealed to me is a need to redo the contract, because I think that or to review the contract, the layout of the contract, how we want to do business with our engineering staff. And
absolutely, that was what I was trying to allude to. I need to go back, or you and I need to go back as a committee and say, okay, Herb, we need to do things a little differently, because Linda, you did point out some good things. Those are good things that we need to adhere to. I understand that.
But the other thing that it gets back to how do we want to interact with Gray and with our engineer, and remember, and the engineer, we interact with our engineers the way we interact with Bill, in the sense that Bill, we direct Bill to go do something. The difference that we have between how we're interacting with Bill and Gray Engineering, or specifically Herb, is we direct Bill and we say, Bill, go off and do this. We're giving you a directive, go off and do this. The problem that well, hold on, let me finish. The problem that we've run into in the last couple of months is we have done exactly that with Herb and said, Herb, I need you to go off and do this for me. And his contract says, I can't do that until I do a great big evaluation and analysis to figure out how many hours it's going to take me to do it, how many hours and how much I think it's going to actually cost you to do it. And that is the problem that I'm having with the organization of the engineering contract, is when we direct the engineer to do this, we don't want him to come back and say, it's going to take me 10 hours for me to answer that question. And so I'm looking for a solution. Hold on. I'm looking for a solution that allows us.
You're off topic.
No, we're talking about
RFQ.
Yes.
For engineer, not
why we're doing
not Herb's contract. Not Herb's contract.
Yeah, but that's what we're talking about. Why are we having an RFQ?
No, that's not. The request for qualifications is to abide by a TCEQ recommendation to reevaluate our contractors every 5 years. I don't understand why you're hesitant to see what the market has to offer.
I'm not hesitant. I'm not.
Well, then here's what if it comes back that Herb is the best offer, that's a perfect time to redo his contract. That would be the perfect time.
I'm going to say, I don't care what we do. I'm going to say it's time to redo the contract. That's all I'm saying. So
Catherine, let me interrupt for just a second on procedural. This type of contract where you have professional services and you go out for a request for qualification. The purpose of the request for qualification is to determine if the respondent is qualified to do the work in your district, if they're an appropriate fit for the work in your district, just the general evaluation of whether they're qualified and desirable for the work. Then you pick someone, you pick a firm that is at the top of your list, and then you sit down and then you negotiate the contract with them. So it's a lot different than going out for proposals, say like on your waste management contract or your solid waste disposal contract. You would go out for proposals. You wouldn't go out for requests for qualifications first.
Correct.
And what you would get are numbers. You would get numbers in immediately on, this is our bid essentially. And you could decide at that point whether they're qualified and whether it's a good value or the price is good. And I think those contracts, those types of contracts, you really should go out for bid every 5 years or so. I think TCEQ recommendation on that is appropriate. But when you're talking about professionals, you're going to go out for requests for qualifications. Then you're going to have to select a person. So it may be Gray Engineering provides requests for qualifications and you reselect them and negotiate a contract. But you're not going to have all the pricing in the request for qualifications. That's not how it works. The pricing, the contract comes after you pick someone to negotiate with. Now, if you're not happy with that first one and the negotiations don't go well, or you're not happy with the price, then you can go to the next qualified person. But that's the process you're supposed to follow on professional.
Okay, so then this is my disconnect. I mean, I'm not going to argue about well, let me rephrase it. My disconnect is, are we doing an RFQ because we don't think our current engineer is not qualified?
That was my point. And I'm not saying that, I see what Linda's trying to do. She's trying to get the best value, but we have the value here.
We don't know that.
It's been proven time and time again.
You don't know that. You have nothing to compare it to.
Okay,
Well,
so
I'm going by what we need him to do, Linda. I mean, I'm sure there's some other engineers that, given the price and given the rate structure, they would do a lot more for us. But for what we need, Herb is always there. And in my experience, because you haven't been on the infrastructure committee, and I'm not saying I'm native to Herb or anything like that, but he saved us a lot of money, because there's many a time, both you and I agreed, we didn't like the bond issue, right? Herb didn't like it either. He said, it's a waste of money. Let's not do it, you know? Other issues like on the deck, you know, he went back and he said, you know, I can get this guy to do the deck, and he should do it for this amount of money. He has connections with those contractors. I'm sure other ones do too, but he has that rapport with them. He knows the city of Cedar Park. And I guess the issue I'm having with this is that, like what you and I went through with Waste Management, are we having a problem with them? Let's go investigate it. Let's see if they can do a corrective action to do it. Well, there was no issue. And it was really based on price. And we didn't go into the price structure with them, because I had mentioned to you that we reached out to another contractor, and his terms were much more stringent, way more expensive. And given those 2 points, the value and the cost, we went there and we said, no, this guy does a good job for us. And I still think they do, Waste Management.
Another thing.
Why
to
would
do
we divorce something that's going
Like
so
legal
well?
or county.
With Waste
We're-
Management, Mark,
we're-
it's only a 3-year-old contract with Waste Management.
I know. I totally
Herb's is
understand.
28 years, 28 years.
Here's what I don't
So
understand.
here's what I
Why
want
would
to
we
do.
divorce
Let me just
something
finish
that's
this thought,
going
Beth.
so well?
If we go into another 5-year term with another engineering firm and we don't like them, we're stuck with them for 5 years.
No, you're
Yeah.
never stuck with them. All contracts give you. an
Well,
out.
that's true. We can't
Yeah,
try.
you wouldn't be
But
stuck.
there's that transition period both ways. So
Don't
you're
be
gonna bring a guy in. He has
How,
to
how do
familiar
you
with all the
expect, how
terms
can
and-
we move this forward if you're unwilling to look? If you're
But
not
Linda,
willing to look.
Linda, why would we switch if there's nothing wrong? Why would we divorce with him and lose the chance of ever getting him back when he has been so good at what he does?
Well, how do you know compared to what? Compared to what?
To
But
compare
the
to our
work
price.
that he has
I'm not
done has
comparing it to
been
anything
so
else.
good.
But I'm just saying, for what we need, like when I call him, I get where you're coming from, but I just
I don't
for-
understand why you are so averse to demonstrating he's your best bet. Why not? He'll put in a qualification sheet too. It's not that complicated.
I would, if he wasn't meeting his requirements, if
Right.
he was complacent,
So-
if he wasn't doing the reporting correctly.
Do we make a
if
vote
he-
on this?
he
What do
wasn't
we
our
do to move
consultant.
forward?
I actually, can I just ask a question? Because what kind of the nuance of this that Art is bringing up kind of brought up a question that I'm just curious about for all the directors, which is that, is there, if we're going to put out a request for qualifications, is there something, how are we going to evaluate what we think is the best? Do we have ideas?
We do
of
have criteria.
what's-
Linda wrote it in the draft. And that's why,
just
Megan,
needs
I
to be
saw the
weighed.
criteria. It's very extensive. And I said, okay, boom, boom, I did a check. He does all of these, you
So
know?
that's my question.
Gray
is
engineering does all of them. you know?
different from what
Pardon?
is there something different than what Herb does? Or I'm just trying to understand what is it that we
Actually, he does more.
looking for in,
We are
He does
looking,
more than what.
the whole
what-
purpose,
And
the
we're,
whole purpose is to evaluate best value. And when I gave Art a draft, I said, and I even told him, this is based on what I know that he does, based on his contract and based on his invoices. It's a
And
draft.
you were
I said,
spot on,
we
but
need
there was a
to-
couple
Okay.
of things that
we
you didn't
need to
have.
present it
here's
to the
my next
board,
thing.
and we need to see if there's more engineering services that we need, that we should add in. We need to figure out the weighted value of the criteria. All those
Okay.
things. This is just a draft.
Let me
Just a
ask you this, because Art is on that committee and we are supposed to listen to him and respect what he does say, it sounds like we're not doing that.
Well, I'm not saying not doing that. I'm just, I'm an engineer. I take things black and white, okay? And when I do a lot of contracting where I work at, and the only reason we ever go out to solicit another contractor if he's not performing,
Yeah, and
or
he's
if he's
performing
done something illegal,
yeah, he's been
Government
great.
or if
contracts don't work
he's
that way.
committed some kind of crime or something.
No, government contracts don't necessarily work that way. There is an obligation to the taxpayer to reassure them that
I
we're
understand.
watching their money and that we're getting the best value. And
So
that's
can we
I
make
totally
a vote
understand
on
it,
this,
but
Catherine?
are we going to get the best value? Because we're not really using him on cost. We're using him on what he does, his qualifications. And when I say he, I say gray engineering,
Okay,
because they're our tool to
Make a
save
vote.
money. And he's done that numerous times for us, numerous times.
well, the thing that keeps coming to my mind is, how do you evaluate what the best value is? Because the best value doesn't necessarily mean the one who has the
we're
lowest
gonna have to weigh
hourly
'em.
rate.
That's
We're gonna
right.
have to
It's not
we're
about
gonna have to
money.
weigh him.
It's not
Yeah.
about money when you're looking at qualifications. It's about what they bring to the table. And you wait. What do you need? Do they have it? And here's an example. And I just put this out there. When Herb does business for us, yes, he goes back to his firm. He talks with his staff. He does agendas. He does all those kind of things. There's a lot of involvement with gray engineering. It's not done just by him. What if,
Correct.
and I just tossed this out there, what if you could hire an engineer that did it all from start to finish, and we saved the district $3,000 a month in administrative costs?
I mean, we had an engineer employee.
No, just
No. It wouldn't be an employee. It would still be a contractor.
Okay.
But let's just say that he literally took each project and worked it himself. All that additional expense on Herb's invoices would be gone. I don't know that that's possible. I don't know that. But what I do know is that unless you go out and look, you'll never know. You'll never know, because you have to have something to compare it to. It's not an expensive thing to do. It doesn't hurt anyone to do it. And it reassures people that you're getting the best value for your money. I don't understand the hesitation.
Okay,
I
I
just
just wanted to put that thought out there. So going forward, let's do this, because I don't want to prolong this meeting, and let's put out the RFQ. Bill, we're going to send that to
We
you.
have to talk about it as a board. They need to look at it. They need to decide if there's other engineering services that would be beneficial to the district. All that's just a draft.
You hit most of them. You hit, I would say 99% of them.
Megan had some ideas earlier in the, months ago. She might have something she wants to stick in there.
The Parks
I
Committee,
gave you a draft.
we have to put that in there.
Well, see, the question I have is, okay, looking at the qualifications that you have in front of you, Art, what's missing on it? See, part of my problem is I don't know what I don't know. And so I don't know what other types of services I have never taken advantage of that
Well, I'm not a
I
civil
might want to
engineer,
know.
so,
What?
but
Think about the things you ask Herb to do that are outside of his contract. Think about
Sure.
those things. Maybe that's something.
Can we hire him to consult for the RFQ? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, you wouldn't want him to be handling that.
I know. It was a joke. Bad taste, but what the RFQ says basically, Catherine, is it identifies the basic services, and then it identifies his technical expertise, and then the terms of the services, and then goes into what the new contractors would provide. But it's very extensive into what they have to know, like uniform Texas code, government code, utilities, infrastructure for basins, I can go on and on.
How do you prove you know that?
They're
Pardon?
licensed professionals. If they say they know it,
License for
they know it.
facility design, requirements for the architectural barriers, like for the handicap, contract management, contract phase services. Herb's excellent at Milestone, where he, the contractor, you've seen it, Catherine. They'll submit an invoice and Herb will go back, no way, don't approve this invoice because they're not done yet.
They haven't met their milestones in order to be paid.
Milestones.
Yeah.
He's upset.
Yeah. And
So
that has
Tree
happened
Engineer is
many
really good.
times.
And then of course, TCEQ. So all those were identified in the RFQ. They're very detailed. So if we're going to go ahead with the RFQ, let Bill have a crack at it. In the what is it? So we can get the best value and determine if that is the best value. I just hope we don't burn our bridges, and get somebody that says they can do it, and then we end up what I call a parachute truck. It's an old defense term. So
That's where I say, and I know it sounds dumb, but why would we divorce something that is working so well and it's been so great? That's where I struggle.
if it ain't broke, don't break it. But
Yeah,
this is different because we're a government entity and we do have to provide the taxpayer the best value. So if we're going to go with an RFQ, we'll know. I just wanted to put that out there, that I want Herb to know that it's by no means his performance.
No.
I told him that. He knows that. It was said in a public meeting. He knows that. It's business art. It's not personal.
His
It's
performance was top notch, 100%. So
I'm not
So
sure he
that's
does
that I
know
was
that
ready
because
to-
we've been so hard on him in the past couple of weeks. I'm not sure he really does know that.
Well,
Okay. So
Well,
do
it
we need,
It sounds to me, Catherine, like the form of the RFQ is pretty close. but
okay.
We could bring it back the next meeting in a presentation as the RFQ at the
Okay,
committee's plan.
so-
And then we will need a list of firms to send it to. And I know some engineering firms, I'm sure.
Well, I'm
do
sure
too,
Christy
but-
probably has some other
Christy
engineering
has some.
firms that she works with.
yeah.
Right, but you need to be able to send it out so that, you got to get it to the people that could possibly respond. There's not a terribly long list of engineers that do district work, but you don't necessarily have to limit yourself to ones that represent districts. But you will need a list, and at that meeting, the board could approve sending them out to those on the list, the form that you give final approval to. Because I think you do need board approval of the RFQ.
So Catherine, what I'll do is I'll reach out to Christy and get a list of potential contractors.
Well,
Can we advertise it?
You certainly can advertise it, yes. But in my experience, the direct mailing to the potential qualified person is more like an invitation. People are not really going through the newspaper looking for RFQs. You certainly could put it on the website. You could do some advertising, but your most effective approach would be to actually email it or mail it to engineering firms that might be interested in doing the work or qualified to do the work.
Okay, so
Can your office take the incoming if electronic files?
Can we accept electronic files? Yes.
I mean,
would
the
you accept
responses.
those?
Yeah, the responses.
The responses.
Yeah.
We can accommodate that.
Okay.
And then Art and I will have to go through as part of the infrastructure committee, and we'll do the evaluation. How about that?
Evaluation is done by the entire board, Catherine?
Well, I think what I would like to do is just have the first pass done, and then we'll
Make recommendations. We'll give
and
you
make
3 or 4.
recommendation.
If
Yeah.
we get that many, and then we'll all
Yeah.
determine who the best.
Why wouldn't you want the entire board to look at all the?
I'm not saying that we wouldn't do that,
Oh, okay.
but as
We will do that.
because
We will do
yes,
that.
I agree. But one of the things is because this is sort of Art's wheelhouse, that I want him to take the lead in terms of doing the evaluation, and so that's why I was just saying we'll just we can just do it in an offline infrastructure meeting, and then bring it to a board meeting. Art. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, we have to come up with some kind of weigh scale to weigh the criteria and the their expertise. We're going to have to give them, they have to give us some some benchmark history to see what they've done for who, you know, so
Okay,
a resume essentially. So,
right. Okay.
okay, okay.
Okay,
Move
so
forward.
the plan is that this is going to be on the agenda for March, where we'll present the RFQ that we're looking to send out. Is that the timeline we're looking at, Bill?
I think so, and along with the process of how we're going to get them out to whom, we're going to advertise, deadline for responses, I assume through, to my office. And then I think it'd be appropriate that the responses be provided to the board at the same time at the board meeting after the deadline. And then if the committee wants to review them and do some analysis, they could do it after that.
Okay.
And this is all assuming you'll get some. So times you go out and you don't get any.
Yeah,
So,
could happen.
Oh, I'm having a hard time believing that. We'll get some, at least one. Don't you think?
hopefully.
Let's
Anyway, yeah, for next meeting, we can bring that back with the process.
Okay. Okay.
Fast stop, no tap backs after that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Report, agenda item 4, report from the Parks Committee. And why don't we do with A, janitorial services contract. And Linda did a huge analysis on the contract because it looks like it went sideways in 2020. Am I saying that correctly, Linda?
Yeah, and Mackenzie unscrambled it in even a better way than me, and now they owe us money. I like that better anyways.
Wow, really?
Okay.
Their invoice structure is just a mess. It's just a mess. And I was giving them the entire month of December, but Mackenzie, she was harder and she literally tracked them down to the day. So now they
Okay, so I'll tag team on that. Why don't we start looking at a new janitorial service?
Well, that's
here
what
she goes. Let her talk.
Okay. Yeah. Let's turn this over to Mackenzie.
Yeah.
Obviously, we worked alongside the Parks Committee with this, and
Can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Better, yes.
It's better. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know why my microphone sometimes works, sometimes doesn't very well. We went through this process with the Parks Committee, and I solicited 2 additional people to come out, provide bids. They did come tour the district. We had your maintenance tech show them around, and I gave them basically the rundown of what the service we currently get through Janiking is regarding what they do when they do come clean both the community center as well as the bathrooms at both parks. And with that, they then turned back, gave us their quotes. I provided the feedback that the tech had based on the people he got to meet, as well as my feedback with the people I conversed with both on the phone and email to the Parks Committee. And we've all kind of come to a collective decision that we are prepared to move forward with using a different janitorial service for the district. And that service company is called Vanguard Cleaning Systems. They're pretty well known in the Austin area from what I can tell with Google. And
Vanguard, you said?
Yes, Vanguard Cleaning Services. And I have a quote to share. So let me share my screen, or not a quote, proposal, sorry. So you guys can see what we received from them. And this is basically what really helped us make our decision here. This I will send out after the board meeting to everybody, so you all have a copy of it. This is their proposal that they gave to us, and this is from, like I said, Vanguard Cleaning Services. This outlines the services that they would basically allow or give to us, and then they actually break it down a little bit further. If you come down here to what's completed each visit, what's completed 1 time per week and then 1 time per month. And this is for the office, conference, entry, and common areas of the community building. So we really appreciated how detailed this was. And this is a bit above and beyond what Janiking currently does. And so they provided this as well. So I will leave that up just for a little bit so you guys can give you a little skim view of it. Do you need me to zoom in at all?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
It's hard to read. Thank you. That's much better.
Let me know when you'd like me to scroll.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
We don't have an elevator, stainless steel.
Correct. It's just something that they include. If you should have it, the service is included in their cleaning services.
Okay.
Looks thorough.
Yes, they are very. And then this is for specifically kitchen break room area. So basically where food and things will take place, which I enjoyed the fact that this was a more specific thing because I think with Jana King, it was comprehensive in the way that they would clean such surfaces.
When it's this detailed, you can measure performance. I like that. That makes it easier.
Mhm. Okay, so this is still in, inside 1000 Old Mill.
Area. And then
Okay.
restroom areas is where you're going to have more of the park restrooms as well as the restrooms inside of the community building.
Okay, so we're still inside, am I correct? We're still inside 1000 Old Mill. We haven't gotten to the outside restrooms in the parks.
I think this applies to both.
Okay.
Where these different things apply, where basically what is accessible in each restroom is what these will entail of cleaning.
Okay.
And then were you guys done with that one? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm good.
So moving on there, their pricing summary and agreement. This is kind of how they go about doing this, and this explains a bit of their process. And then down here is how much we are looking at monthly. And just to give you guys a little bit of the difference, because they are, I think, a much more well-rounded and efficient company from what I've been able to read in their reviews. It is a little bit more expensive than Jana King. It's about a $331 difference monthly. From the new rates that Jana King proposed, we did have them submit proposals as well for the Parks Committee to review within our review of the services. But as you can tell, they are much more thorough, detailed, and concise in their agreements here. And then the rest of this is basically the service agreement to be signed, as well as their certificates of insurance and I believe their W-9. Yeah. So that is what we got from Vanguard. And I think the Parks Committee is open to any questions you guys might have. And Megan or Beth might have some input to provide as well.
I have a question. I imagine the outside restrooms are cleaned daily.
They are.
And what about the Lakeline Oaks office? What's this?
Once a month for
now?
Yes, until it's opened again, and then we move it up to 4 times a month.
Okay, and would they be willing to do this even if they could do no Lakeline Oaks inside or outside for a while? Because I understand the water's been shut off to that building.
So,
those restrooms outside aren't usable now.
Correct. So you are correct. And yes, they will. I briefly spoke to Bobby, who's the guy who has been doing the quote for us, and they're very quick to respond. And he said it wouldn't be a problem. They can draft up another one. But considering that this will be the base of it all, we wanted to present this to you guys. And
Okay.
I will get him an additional one from him specifically for cleaning the restrooms. I have a feeling the amount you're looking at is probably half of 1730, maybe a little less than, for them to clean the Lakeline Oaks building 1 time a month. So that's a roundabout number of what you could expect. I'd say if we wanted to play it safe and we cut it at high of half, it's $865 a month.
Could you just ask him to do one proposal for just Anderson Mill West Park for the time being,
Yes.
until Lakeline Oaks and that facility is open again? And that way we'll know exactly what we're paying for Anderson Mill West versus for Lakeline Oaks.
Right. I think we're looking at quite some time before we're going to be doing cleaning at 1000 Old Mill.
Even the outside bathrooms?
Well, see that I don't know. We might be able to get the bathrooms in pretty repaired pretty quickly and functional pretty quickly, but I think the interior part of the building is going to
That's
be
gonna
out.
take a while, yeah.
Well, they gotta get they have to fix the pipes on the inside for them to turn the water on the outside though.
Yeah.
Mackenzie, while we're on this subject, and this was kind of comical, poor Phil. When I was over there the other day signing checks, some guy on a bicycle came up to use the outside bathrooms at Lakeline Oaks, and the doors are apparently on a timer, so the doors were unlocked, but there's no water in there. And so Phil's going, sir, mister, sir, wait, hold on. But he just ran in there anyways. And so whoever can lock those doors and keep those outdoors locked, because it's going to get really messy in there really fast.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Did you get that, Mackenzie?
Yeah.
You got to take it off the timer so that it just stays locked. And have Phil bring a bucket of water out there or something and force flush those toilets for all the people who went in there without water.
Yeah.
We're on getting Oracle to figure out how to go about doing so. Oracle is the one who basically controls the server, which controls the locks on the doors. And due to the fact that the server is down in the office, it's an issue at this point. And the key, the locks are specific to, the key has to be in the lock for it to be working. And as soon as you take it out, it defaults to whatever the locking mechanism was set to last. So
it's going to get extremely bad over there.
Well, I guess we're just going to need to put, hazard tape, no water, do not use.
But it's not going to happen. I'm saying we're trying and we're working with Oracle to figure out how to go about if they can manually lock it, if we need to install some outside locks that are just, padlocks that we use from now until whenever the time being of them operating again is. My best case scenario would be if Oracle could just lock them on their end, which is what I would like for them to do. If they cannot, we will just install some that are basically a master lock that your tech would have the code to and no one else would. So therefore, they would not be accessible.
And at least put a sign on the door. Maybe that would be a deterrent.
I will try.
No water. No water, do not use.
We would typically be able to print something like that at the office, and we can't.
Oh my God.
So that's an added issue. I will can't pick up something from our summit office to take over there before he heads in.
What about caution tape issue? Catherine's caution tape idea wasn't totally bad. Caution tape, but I won't use the toilet with caution tape.
Obey caution tape. People will rip off caution tape in a heartbeat.
On a toilet?
Anything.
On a nasty toilet?
Oh no.
Oh my.
Where?
Okay, so let me ask you this. So we got a bid from Jenny King and we got a bid from Vanguard. Was there another bid or this was the bid that you liked?
Yes, this is the bid that the Parks Committee and from Mark both agreed was the best and the most appropriate for the district. We did receive another bid from an additional company that was not Jana King. We just weren't very thrilled with what we received. It was not very detailed. The person that came to the district to tour it was very unorganized and all over the place. Did not give us the warm and fuzzies that he had the ability to take care of the job, especially cleaning up 7 days a week. So we went off of intuition of the person we met, the tech met, and how they made the tech feel, which Phil said that the guy from Vanguard, whose name is Bobby, was very organized, concise, had paperwork with him, had my email detailing what was expected of the cleaning of the inside. So he didn't ask Phil a bunch of questions. He was just all around the best one that we felt would be supportive of the district. And Jana King, though they were the lowest, we've seen what the lowest pays for right now. And I think we can all agree that it's not at the best interest of the district at the time.
So this is my question. Are you happy with the organization of the contract they provided? Do we want to change it up a little bit so that it stands the test of time? How about that?
I mean, that I was totally happy with it reading through it. I think Megan and Beth were as well, but I know that we're open to any suggestions the rest of the board has.
Okay, because the feedback that I remember was that their invoice was like changing, Janny King's invoice was like, I'm going to change the contract, with my invoice. And it's like, that's not where we want to be. We want to have it be a little more stable. So,
The only
okay.
thing I didn't see on this, Mackenzie, and I saw an asterisk up at the top about supplies, and I don't know, is there a comment on this about supplies? You're going to send this to us, right?
So I'll zoom in for you on the
Thank
bottom. So client is responsible for supplies, trash liners, soap.
That's pretty standard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, and Jana King was the same way. And so you actually have two options here, which we've never been the one to provide the supplies, being in for Mark, obviously. You can purchase these supplies separately or get them through Vanguard. Right now, we allow Jana King to purchase them and charge them back to the district. We've never had any problems with that necessarily. We've never felt like they were price gouging or overdoing. And a lot of the supplies they keep at the office specific for the district. So you see them, and it's not like they're not there. So yes, it is standard, and I think that it's status quo on that one for sure.
Well, my only comment about that is, making sure that we're purchasing them and not paying sales tax.
Yes, correct. And then what we do in the very beginning of this is we set up the contract, we submit your tax exempt form to them. Therefore, none of their invoicing can be taxed upon you.
Okay. Okay. So at this point, we know that we're going to have a delay in implementing a contract, and we want to have a contract that just represents the Anderson Mill West restrooms only. So am I hearing that we need to have another contract? We need to have with just that pricing, and that's what we want to approve, or do we want to approve this one, but we don't know when it's going to start? How do we want to handle that?
So my concern here is Jana King is pushing very hard for new rates. And if we don't offer those, I don't know that they're going to continue cleaning the district through March until we have another meeting to approve a new one. So my suggestion would be to approve a not to exceed amount for the amount it would cost to have them do Anderson Mill West alone. And then we can pursue that through Vanguard. I think a good number would be 900, because I think it's going to be well below that, between 865 and probably 600 somewhere.
Okay.
But that gives the Parks Committee the opportunity to take it back to them and get that set up. And hopefully we can get them up and running sometime next week and get Jana King out.
Okay.
So that would be my suggestion. Megan and Beth might have a different opinion. I just know that they've been pushing very hard for the update to the contract, for so much so that she told me in an email, after she, being Valerie with Jana King, stated that as of February 1st, the new rates would apply, after I told her that the new rates wouldn't apply unless the board voted to approve them at the 17th or the 24th meeting. And so I then sent her another email back to reiterate that those rates would not apply until board approval. And of course, did not hear back from her, but made sure to state my claim there. I don't want us to run into a problem where we don't have anyone to clean.
Right. I get that. But okay. So okay. But we also think that they owe us money.
Correct. And that's a whole other discussion.
I agree. That's a whole other discussion. I agree.
Well, Catherine, would there be any harm in approving this proposal
No.
here?
Yeah, I don't have any problem moving forward with this proposal. At this point, though, we just don't know when it's going to start.
Well,
And,
exactly.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
approving this one, and then making it conditional, of course, that the Vanguard provides us a price for just Anderson Mill West Park until all the park system is opened.
Yeah, I agree.
I believe that $1,700, Mackenzie, I think the lion's share of that money is Lakeline Oaks. I don't think Anderson Mill West Park will go even above 600, because at Lakeline Oaks, they have a kitchen, they have floors to mop, it's a lot more work over there. So I think if we said between 600 and 700 for Anderson Mill West Park, it would be a fair thing. And then they could start on March 1st and just do Anderson Mill West bathrooms. That's like $10 a bathroom every day. That's really not,
That, you know, if you, when you break it down to the ridiculous, it's not very bad.
I mean, $10 a bathroom, probably a fair price, I'm guessing. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
do that for a living, but it doesn't sound unreasonable.
No.
Catherine, before we vote on this, Mackenzie, could you scroll down to the terms on termination and such, the general terms?
Yeah, so my next question too is we do need somebody out there cleaning the bathrooms every day still because we've got so many people in the park. It's just been packed this week.
Really?
Oh my gosh, yes. I'll be glad when we talk about trees so that we can have them safe. But yeah, it's packed.
Is there a COLA or something in here?
A what?
A COLA, a cost of living increase? You know, I mean, so that, a year from now, they'll get
It
2%
automatically
more.
goes up.
Yeah.
Well, it is a one-year contract that
Okay.
renews unless you give notice to terminate 45 days prior to the end of the year. So we'd have to track this.
And Megan, do you think that you want to add?
No, Mackenzie did a really good job, I think, summarizing the situation.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. Do we have some sort of invoicing form? Because I think if I remember correctly, that was the thing that was just so horrible to try to slog through with Jenny King, was that their invoicing was so horrible.
I don't have an example from Vanguard, and it kind of slipped my mind to ask, but judging by the proposal they provided and judging from the proposal that Janet King provided, it's already much more.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not anticipating, but it sounds like we really sort of got burned by the previous vendor, and it was their lack of competence that has the reason why they are losing the contract.
That and lack of communication was a big one. There are a number of factors that play into that, but definitely invoicing and the way that they were specific on how they would invoice and having 2 separate accounts for each bathroom instead of just one account where it was all billed under one. So I can definitely pursue getting like a drafted what invoice look like. That's not a problem.
And show them how to break it down so it's got all the right line items so we know how to do our cost accounting.
I can definitely do that.
Yeah. I suspect that they're going to be willing to accommodate our requests. I'm not anticipating it's going to be a problem. Okay, so does somebody want to make a motion?
So should this be 2 motions or is it are we just approving?
I think what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 motions. We're going to do a motion to accept this contract, and then we're going to do a motion to ask for another not to exceed that will represent service starting at Anderson Mill West in March. Because we don't know when this contract is going to be able to come online. Because then because the expectation is that we're going to be able to get service restored at Anderson Mill West, and then we'll be able to get service restored or water restored, I should say, at Lakeline Oaks. And so for a period of time, we're just going to have service at the public restrooms. That's all it's going to be until we can get the actual building put back together.
Or the water turned on and the outside restrooms at Lakeline Oaks open.
Yeah.
That might happen first.
Yeah.
And so then what's the not to exceed amount? Or
what did we think it should be? Not to exceed 700?
Yeah, for Anderson Mill West, yeah, about 700. We really would need to relook at it if he's coming in more than 700 on Anderson Mill West.
Yeah, I agree.
And Mackenzie, you might let him know that, and I don't know how we would deal with this down the road, but because it is very possible that they'll fix the water problem at Lakeline Oaks, and then we will be able to open those outdoor bathrooms. So there might be a point in the future where he does Anderson Mill West outside bathrooms, Lakeline Oaks outside bathrooms, but not the building yet.
What I will do is I'll pursue a proposal for just outside bathrooms. And then that covers both. If they can't clean one, they can't charge us for it. So if we have them to where they're marked as not, not cleanable, and I'm sure they won't have a problem with it. They've been more than happy to accommodate. Like, I think when they first sent the proposal over, it had them cleaning the community center 7 days a week. And we were like, whoa, 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 no. So, and they got us back an update within like 2 hours.
So if they're doing both bathrooms, should we raise it to 800? Just, throwing it out there.
I honestly think 700 is more than enough to do the Anderson Mill West bathrooms. And if it comes in higher than that, I'd question it too. Granted,
Bathroom and Anderson Mill, the one on Old Mill.
oh yeah, so I think if we're talking about the not to exceed limit for doing both Anderson Mill and Lakeline outside bathrooms, it would definitely have to be more than that.
Yeah.
I'd be really curious to know, because if you think $700 for 2 outside bathrooms times 2, that's $1,400, and then he would do the whole entire community center for the difference.
I know. That's what. Yeah, I agree.
I'm almost tempted to Mackenzie just ask him how much he would charge, and that way you don't plant a seed that we're willing to go to 600 for what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how he came up with that number. That's kind of.
Well, we definitely want what I'm suggesting we do is, we come up with a not to exceed, but we don't tell him what that not to exceed is. Let's hope he doesn't watch the meeting.
Oh, look what's on the screen. Look what's on the screen. Restrooms, restroom areas, outdoor restrooms, evening cleaning, 7 times per week, $1,730.
Yep. So we're lowering him.
Well, it doesn't have a price for the community center. Right underneath it is blank. Once a month, no price.
But we did confirm that is the price for that all included. So I will ask him if he has a further breakdown of it, because that was part of when we kicked the proposal back to him, was because he had it listed the same way with only having one amount, but this said 7 days a week instead of once a month by the community center.
Yeah, but do you see what I'm seeing on the screen where his bid is literally just the outdoor restrooms for $1,730?
We can definitely ask him to pursue or give us.
If he will break that down, I think we're home free.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sure that's a mistake on his paperwork, but yeah, that's concerning.
I agree. Yeah.
That leaves the Lakeline Oak building wide open for him to charge whatever. So.
Okay, so do we want to go ahead and make a motion then, or do we want to wait for a confirmation? We have to actually move ahead with something.
How about this? Okay, Mackenzie, listen to this. What do you think about this? Okay, we know that Jenny King owes us money, and I'm not exactly sure the amount. What if, and I don't know if this is even possible, but what if they continue to clean for the month of March until they've exhausted the amount of money that they owe us, which would give us time to get this contract in line, and then we don't have to ask Bill to sue Jenny King for our money back. Is that legal? Can we do that? Bill, where'd you go?
Yeah, no, it's legal. I mean, if you have a good handle on how much money's involved, and if they're willing to work to that point, then you can resolve the contract issue that way if you want.
It would save a lot of money in what it would take to try to get them to cut us a check, because it's not that much. It's over $1,000, but it would cost more for Bill's time to go after that money.
Oh, definitely. But is it only $1,000? I thought it was like over $3,000.
Oh no, Mackenzie, what did you come up with?
It's $1,586.53 is the total number after I got numbers back from Michael. So,
okay, so that's about 1 month of service.
That sounds like. Do you think what are the odds we're going to be able to make that one fly?
Yeah. So what if they say, sorry, we're not going to do that, and then we have no one to clean the bathroom?
Yeah.
Because they've been difficult to work with. So
that's what I'm thinking, that they're gonna be non-responsive. That's my suspicion.
So what if the choice is, okay, you owe us $1,500 and some change. we'll encourage you to come and clean these facilities. It's only Anderson Mill West Park. Literally, they could do it for 2 months to repay their debt.
Yeah.
Because our records indicate that you owe us $1,500. We've overpaid you. And, here's the two options that we have. Either you work it off
Or you pay us back, you refund the money.
or you refund the money. I mean,
Yeah.
both seem really far-fetched, like they're going to do either one of them, but
I agree.
I don't know what else to suggest. I mean, you got to know that if Bill goes after them for that $1,500, it's going to cost 3 times that amount.
Oh God, yes. So what it sounds like we can do though is that we can approve this contract with the crossing our fingers that it's going to start in April. That's the hope, is if we, because what we really do want is Jana King to work off their debt and clean the restrooms. If all they did was take care of the restrooms in Anderson Mill West for the month of March, I'd be willing to say, we're done with you. We do not want to deal with you anymore. That is how unhappy we are with you as a vendor.
I'm willing to bet if there's nothing in it for them and there's no additional money stream coming in, they're not going to do it. They're not going to send people out there to do it.
Yeah.
You're going to have to take legal action. I kid you not.
Okay.
And then
So
we would anyone to clean. So
we need to approve this contract.
Well, not this one here, but one very similar for Anderson Mill West Parks, because this one she needs to get a breakdown of that. Otherwise, we're going to end up paying $1,730 for just restroom cleaning.
Right. Okay. So we need a resolution for a not to exceed for the month of March for Anderson Mill West only.
This company for that bathroom.
Yeah.
700 still? Are we at 700?
Yeah. Let's just go with 700. That sounds fine. Yes, and not to exceed, because the expectation is it's not going to exceed that.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna try to word this. Make a motion to approve Vanguard to clean the bathrooms in Anderson Mill West Park starting March 1st for a not to exceed amount of $700
per month.
Per month.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody want to second that?
I'll second that.
Okay. Okay, so do we have any more discussion other than the fact that we know that we're going to go back and get clarification on the overall contract from Vanguard, so that, and we will have that at the March meeting with the expectation that we will approve that then. And then
what do we do about Jani King owing us money?
Yeah, well, we'll yeah.
What's our options, Bill?
I think we should probably have Infomark send the accounting and a notice of what they owe first. That would be the first. It's like sending a reverse invoice, give them the information, give them the amount they owe, ask them to pay, and see what happens after that. If you need me to work on it, I could. But I think the first step is to give them all the information you have and show that they owe money.
Perfect.
And maybe notify somebody higher up in the. I know these are all franchises, but maybe the franchisor might want to know about it too. Jana King headquarters or whoever. When we had Jana King a long time ago at our office, we had to change crews about every year. And we would actually go to the franchise company, because these are all franchises, and ask them to send a whole different crew because the other ones were not good. So somebody might care. You might get paid. Somebody might care.
Do we need to do a motion for Mackenzie to set that wheel in motion, or can she just take what you just suggested and run with it?
Well, I think we probably need to act on this.
Yeah, let's go ahead and let's call the vote on this one.
I think a motion is perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll call the vote and get this done over. So Linda.
Yes.
Art.
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
and I vote yes too. So then we need to give a directive to Mackenzie to send your accounting to Janny King and ask for them to send us a check.
Do that.
Yeah, let's do a motion and
Okay.
state the amount there.
Okay. What's the amount?
$1,586.53.
Okay. Okay, so I make a motion that we direct Infomark to do an accounting of the Janny King account that shows that we've overpaid them $1,586.53 and submit that back to Janny King and ask that they refund their overpayment.
I'll second that.
Okay. I'll be curious to see how receptive that one is.
Start somewhere.
So you need to call the vote on it. Kathy.
Yeah, I'll call the vote on it. Okay, Linda,
Yes.
Art,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
I vote yes too. Okay. Yeah, I'm willing to bet they're going to decide it's easier to just be quiet and see what happens. Okay. Tree chipping quotes from the parks and district areas for the parks and district areas. What have you got, Mackenzie?
So upon pursuing quotes for chipping, we determined that it's extremely expensive.
Yeah.
And there are rules that will need to take place. So basically there's additional cost to it. To have a company come in, excuse me, and do the removal and chipping service is like one. And then additional would be to have them and another company, likely Sunscapes, trim them down to a specific size because the company that's willing to chip them requires them to be a certain length for actual trees and a certain length for actual branches and just very specific. Additional to that, Sunscapes kind of offered some information regarding if you did chip them, where that mulch could be used in the district itself, not residential, but district itself. And he was very open and honest about the fact that it basically provides little to no benefit to anything you put it around. So it wouldn't be able to go around plants or other things like that in the district, but it could go in native areas. So that alone was one thing. And then, so after kind of reviewing the cost of doing the chipping for residential areas as well, which is under customer care, we kind of came to the determination that just getting it cleaned up would be cheaper and better and a better route to go at this point. So I think that's kind of the route the Parks Committee is wanting to go. I haven't heard from you or Beth, so I don't know about customer care and how they're feeling with residential cleanup, but
okay.
Alone, he was not willing to provide like a standard like amount. He basically said that it would have to be a not to exceed weekly amount, and then they'd have to come back to the board for review if they were going to exceed that, so on and so forth.
Who said that about a not to exceed weekly amount?
Do what?
Who was it that said they would have to do it on a not to exceed weekly amount?
Sunscapes said that. So they have to do it on a not to exceed. And then we also pursued Kathy's Tree Service, which is a local tree service, I think, in the Cedar Park Round Rock area. And their quote was a little better. However, theirs was very specific on length and the way that things would have to be done and where you would have to place them before they would be willing to come and do the chipping service. And they also said that it would take them 6 weeks to do so.
Well, okay, so this is my observation because today, my next door neighbors, they cut and bundled and just placed it on the curb, and today Waste Management was driving around picking up everything that was cut and bundled that was sitting on the curb. So I'm wondering if the cheapest and quickest solution is to come up with a process where everybody's going to have to cut and bundle, and then we'll just have multiple runs that are going through the neighborhood, just picking it all up. I'll be quite honest, I was hoping I could be extremely lazy and not have to cut and bundle the 20-foot limbs that were falling out of, that I've had to pull out of my trees. You know, because it's a lot of work to do that. But it sounds like it's going to be unbelievably cost prohibitive to just have big trailers driving around picking up everything of every size. So, okay, so I'm assuming that what I observed today was just sort of like the Tuesday run of big ticket pickup.
It was the leftover Tuesday run. Big
Okay, yeah. So
Hey, Catherine, have we reached out to, or maybe we should reach out to the city of Cedar Park and see if they got any federal funding for that?
Yeah, why don't we use our disaster funds for that?
well, how do we Bill, does anybody have any guidance for us to find out what kind of money we can get? Do we have to spend it first?
I don't
Have y'all
have
y'all seen what Cedar Park is doing? So they're just doing an extra run, and they'll be picking up, what is today? 24. They'll be picking up tomorrow.
Yeah, but they have all the equipment, you know. I saw them
Yeah,
today.
they
You're
do.
right, Beth. They have
Yeah.
a shredder. They have, you know, they even have
Everything.
a lift to cut the limbs up high,
Yes.
you know.
Oh, they've
Yeah,
got a
they're
cherry,
getting everything
Oh,
picked
yeah,
up
they have
tomorrow.
the,
they have
the
a cherry
infrastructure.
picker. Okay, yeah, yes, you're right.
Well, and it's taking so long, and this stuff is dying in the streets. So now it's crunchy leaves and all that. If we must be eligible for some of that disaster money. I mean, we're in the zone.
But here's my question is, can we get reimbursed on that later? Because we need to move on it, because we sure don't want fires because of all the dry wood that's drying out so fast.
Yeah, well, my suspicion is that yes, there might be some money available, but we might not get it till August. I have a suspicion it's going to be a recoup what you've spent versus get money up front for the services.
Now, some people in my neighborhood have already had it carted off. They've had landscape guys come in and cut their trees and trim them back.
Yeah, I did that. I had too much. I had way too much. I had to have somebody come pick it up. It was just too much of a hazard. But my other question is like, you know, the parks. I mean, today, I mean, you guys, there are so many trees down in the park, and those kids are in there playing, and I just cringed today when I went by there. Like, I just pray to God that someone doesn't get hurt.
Or something doesn't fall out of a tree that's way up high. Because I still have branches that are 25 feet up that I can't get to. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's scary. But we need to find out how fast we can act on those. And I don't mean to push it, but that's a liability for us.
Mackenzie, what were the quotes to haul away?
Let me pull them up. I have both available for residential as well as parks. So this would be parks, I believe. I'll share my screen. This is the one that we received from Sunscapes.
Can you blow it up, please?
So basically it's, you know, a price per day. So, and what are we getting on a per day? How many trailers or how many hours do we?
He specified to me that it would be a 3-man crew. I don't know if the specifics of that, but it would be 3 people from Sunscape specifically dedicated to this project. So it's basically, you got to look at it from a project standpoint.
Okay.
And he can give you a number, on trucks and things like that, because big limbs are going to take up more room, small limbs are not, and there's too much of a gamble of trying to figure out that number in specific. I think this is just to let you guys know that this would be full days of a crew specifically working on tree removal and limb removal.
Yeah, but it's only in the park. It's only in the park, right? You know, yeah. So it's going to be at Lakeline Oaks, Anderson Mill West, Sunscape. Sunchase.
The ponds. It's all the areas that Sunscape landscapes.
Right.
But this proposal is for residential, correct?
No, this is,
Why
we
does it say
still have,
residential storm?
There's two. There's one for residential and one for parks.
Okay, the one I'm looking at says residential storm damage cleanup.
Yes.
I believe this should say parks because
Up
Yeah,
on
because-
top.
yeah, because of what it's saying it up top. Yeah, I agree.
I think you're showing the residential one.
Haul off in parks and common areas within the district.
It's in the first paragraph on.
Yeah, the scope of this work is to remove only broken and damaged tree branches in the parks and common areas currently serviced by Sunscape. So that one line there just needs to be, area service. It just, instead of saying residential storm, well, it just needs to say storm cleanup damage, storm damage cleanup. That's what it needs
Does
to be.
anybody know somebody at Cedar Park City Hall that we could reach out to? I'll call them.
Yeah, from house to house.
Because Biden approved relief for Texas. I gotta believe that.
There's money, we just don't know how to get it.
Yeah.
What I've been hearing over and over is that you hold on to your receipts, is what they've been saying on the news.
As a tax write-off or as a reimbursement?
Oh, wow.
Reimbursement.
They're offering to cut snapped off branches. See, I don't think we would want to do that much of service to people's property.
Mm-mm.
They would have
No,
to
it's
be
pick up
responsible
only.
for cutting their own trees. At best, we could hire maybe somebody to pick up the debris, but not actually be cutting on their trees.
I
Now-
agree.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Now,
we were
hold on,
gonna
guys.
do.
There is
No tree
one
trimming.
that's on Old Mill that's over the sidewalk that we need to be careful of because some of the people can't get, and we have received information that they're asking for help if it's on the sidewalk part. So what do we want to do about that?
If it's over the sidewalk or on the road, Williamson County and Travis County take care of it. If it's over the sidewalk or on the road, those are the numbers you call.
You mean
Okay,
if
then
the trees
let
in their
me
property?
rephrase that.
Even
It's
if
still
on their
on the, it's on their property, but it's broken and it's hanging over the sidewalk and it's not on the sidewalk yet. Let's rephrase that.
I think that would qualify. It's obstructing the sidewalk. The county will take care of it.
And we need to call the county and have them come out because there's a bunch.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
can identify all the locations, they'll come at one time and they take it away too. But it has to be, like I said, it has to be obstructing a sidewalk or in the road.
We got both.
People are starting to put their limbs now in the road, so I don't know what are they gonna do? I mean, if it's in the road, Williamson County is obligated to pick it up, so.
Well,
I
our
noticed
neighborhood had a tree cutting party. We had a barbecue in the cul-de-sac and we cut down all the limbs that were dangling and we put them in front of the house. And I told them, I said, nobody's gonna come and cut down your trees. You're gonna have to do that if it's in your property, your limbs.
Yeah.
So, but I think a lot of people are just gonna have to cut them down and then put them in the street and go from there.
Well, so
Or
we're looking at $11,000. And see,
But that,
Yeah.
Catherine, that includes cutting dangling branches.
we don't want to do that.
Wanna
What
cut
what
down, we
I'm
don't wanna
looking
cut
for is, just a quote to come pick up the stuff that's been, that's the big pile that's sitting in my front yard. I'm just
Mhm.
looking to get that hauled away.
And then the parks, we need them to get in the trees.
Yeah.
I don't think that the quote for their daily amount will change. It might just take them less time. So I will ask them if they want to provide a not to exceed explicitly taking out the cutting of limbs. I didn't know when we pursued this, it was pursued as we don't want the residents to have to do very much.
We just want, the expectation is, I'm going to sneeze here. Hold on. The expectation is that, that the residents have, taken the trees, pulled the broken limbs, to the front of their yard. And they're just coming around and, cut things off from their trees, to then their own tree cutting. But they're just coming along with the crew and the trailer and they're picking the stuff up and hauling it away.
Yeah.
Except for commercial, so that the parks, we can get them out of the trees, correct?
Yeah,
I think
yes,
We're all on
yes.
the same page.
Yes, yes. So we're gonna have what, we're gonna have, the other, bid that we saw was to do all of that necessary cleanup in the parks and the common areas. Yeah, and I think we definitely need to move on that and get on their schedule as soon as possible.
I mean,
Where is
yeah,
it?
like, I wish we could do it tonight. That's how bad it is.
Well, there's a huge tree down right in front of the pavilion at Anderson Mill West.
You know,
Yeah.
there's a thing on the website that says you can file a claim and then apply to FEMA.
There you go. So Catherine, this quote that we're looking at on the screen for $11,000, this includes tree limb cutting. So let's assume that he knocks this down $6,000. That's not a bad price to have.
I don't think so either.
Okay.
The Holloway stuff, no limb cuts.
Yeah, that,
Absolutely no limb
I mean,
cuts.
you know.
Now, here's the only thing that I could see happening. I don't know if you guys know this, but I know that the dump stations have raised their prices in the past couple days. So I could see him coming back with a little bit different, but I don't think it would be a whole lot more, but I do know that the dumps are full, so they're having to charge more.
Yeah. It's a supply and demand thing from that point
It
of view.
is. It's horrible right now. There's so much damage.
Some people who are taking this stuff away are actually taking it to nurseries, landscape nurseries, where they're
Mulch.
chipping it up and turning it into mulch and selling it. So that was another something I thought of that, you know, could be pursued. But it's too time sensitive. You really don't have that kind of time to pursue everything.
Okay, so if we have, do you want to go down the path of let's approve the first one from Sunscapes to deal with the parks and common areas, and then have ask for a secondary just haul off proposal to replace and that does not include any cutting. You know, we just need bodies and tractors to pick the trailers to pick the stuff up and haul it away.
Think that you'll need to pursue a good not to exceed limit on that one, because otherwise we'll have to wait an entire month. And I don't think it's going to come down $5,000 to $6,000. I think that what his proposal may be slightly less per day, but still needing probably 5 full days to do the district.
Oh, definitely.
How much do we have in the general fund for emergencies or anything?
2.1 million. I'm so glad you asked. You do have a reserve, but you don't need it. You won't need it.
No, I agree. So I'm happy with this this proposal right now for $8,750.
Mackenzie,
That's for the parks, correct?
Yeah.
Mackenzie, did you say that that was all they were gonna spray seal the breakpoints when they cut, they do. And I'm looking at this quote, and this one's not nearly as detailed as the residential. So I'm gonna need to confirm that they're willing to cut, because this does not say that they will in the parks, which I don't know why they wouldn't, but
well, it says broken tree limb removal and haul off.
Correct, but the other one specifically stated that they would cut it.
Okay.
So this is something else we'll need to ask for. I have a feeling that what you lose on the residential one from us, you know, negating cutting and all of that, you're gonna gain here.
Yeah, but you know, if the huge tree that lost, you know, quarter of its side is, you know, still attached to the tree and it's laying on the ground, completely blocking the sidewalk in front of the pavilion. They're not going to haul it away because they have to cut it off because they don't have a saw with them? Is that
They'll
what we're hearing?
probably take care of it in the parks and the common areas because their contract includes those kind of maintenance.
Yeah.
I don't see it as an issue, but Mackenzie, I think you're right on track to make sure that they understand what we are expecting. So there's no misunderstanding.
I did touch on that with Scott regarding what's covered in the contract and what's not. And he said that this is considered an additional, because it is an extensive job and a project for them to do, which is not really something we include in the contract. And I'm not saying that they're going to charge you to cut up the limbs. I'm saying when they need to cut, say, a limb off of a tree, which is what was specific in the residential one. It's not specific in this one. So I just need to make sure that that's transparent across both. So that way there's no issues when they do go out there, if they leave a bunch of ones that are just barely hanging on because it wasn't specific in the quote.
Okay, so let me do this. I move that we accept the bid from Sunscapes for $87.50 for cleanup in the park and common areas on the condition that it is verified that this includes removal of the
Dangling
of
limb.
dangling limbs, that have not completely detached from the tree. How about that?
Loose limbs, yeah.
Yeah.
And can we add that they'll seal them?
Yes, and that they'll be sealed.
Oak will.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay. Do we have any more discussion?
No.
Let me call the vote then. Linda?
Yes.
Art?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Beth?
Yes.
I vote yes too. Okay, so then we still have one more bid that's a little over $11,000. And we want to try to do a not to exceed that is just a haul off. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, no tree cut, no limb cutting, just hauling
Okay,
off.
so what we'd like, is $8,000 enough? You think that's enough? Do you think we could negotiate $8,000?
Now, I'm going to ask you guys again, just because I went on that tour and there is so much that's almost on the sidewalk where these big limbs are hanging, really close, that I'm not sure people can afford to do. So if it is on the sidewalk that is right there, can we ask them to remove that?
No, I don't think it's a good idea to have them cutting on people's trees.
I agree.
I agree.
But Beth,
Too much liability.
there is a lot.
I don't want somebody to get hurt, and that's where.
Paul Williamson or Travis County, Road and Bridge, they'll come take care of it. Beth. In 24 hours, they'll come take care of it. You just have to give them a location where it is, and they'll come out there and take it away.
We're asking for trouble, get them to go in their yards.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay,
so
what
is it?
$10,000
What's a not to exceed number do you think we should try to aim for?
let's go for 10,000.
You want to go for 10? Okay.
10,000 in 5 days.
Okay. So I move that we accept a proposal from Sunscapes for 5 days of tree limb removal, not to exceed $10,000. This will be the haul off of limbs that the residents have already removed from their tree and staged at the front of their property to be hauled away.
In all the district, right?
Yeah, and
Yes.
this is for residential only.
Now, can I ask one more thing just to see if it'll work, that we do this next week, that we ask them to please fulfill this next week?
I don't have a problem with that. The question is whether or not, what's their schedule looking like? So
I'm sure they'll get on it as soon as they can, but I don't know that they're going to be willing to say, yeah, we'll get it all done next week, because I know that they are slammed.
Oh yeah, everybody's slammed. Everybody's slammed.
I just know that people have been texting and posting stuff on everything as, when are we going to get this stuff out of our yards? And so it would be great to be able to tell them that,
There's always an option that they can cut it up and bundle it.
Yes.
And then on big pickup day on Tuesday,
Yes.
Waste Management will take it away. That's always an option.
That is always an option. But
let's just ask Sunscapes to give us a date of when it will be done by. Let's just have that so that we can let the people in the neighborhood know when it will be done by.
Well,
Yeah,
actually,
I think that's fair.
We have to let the whole neighborhood know that this service is coming.
Yes.
On what date? Have
Yes.
it staged and ready.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
All
what I'm
that
saying.
information has to be really pushed out there so people will be ready and prepared for it.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. People
Okay.
just want, they need to know. People are panicking. What are we going to do with all this stuff? So I think it's really important.
Now, it's important that I'm looking at this proposal here, and it's not giving us any details about how long things can be. Because I'm telling you, I got stuff that's 15 to 20 feet long. You
Yeah,
know, I've got a great big berm in my front yard right now.
They didn't give us a specific on that because we instructed them we want the process to be as easy as possible for the residents.
Yes.
So that may be a service that they're including on it. So that's probably a little bit about what they're talking about with regards to cutting. So I'll just check with them that there is no like size requirements, and I don't even think they were requiring it be staged by the road.
Well,
So-
I was going to say, what I don't want is I don't want them going into backyards. I mean, you know, at some point, you know, the residents, let's meet me halfway, just get it, you know, to the, you know, closer to the curb.
You don't want them going in the backyard. There's a lot of liability.
No. So,
And McKinsey, you should ask them if there's a size limit that they're willing to deal with, because if there is, then maybe, you know, we could put together a crew of people with chainsaws to help out those people who don't have one, to cut them up, or, you know, I mean, there's so many things we can do if we know what the terms of Sunscape are for even picking this stuff up.
Yeah.
And do they have the crews to do this simultaneously, or do we have a preference which order they do? Parks or residential?
I would think parks would have to come first.
me too. I think, I agree. I think the parks have to come first.
Common
Yeah, 'cause
areas and parks. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, parks, we are going to cut down limbs, right? The low hanging,
That's what we want. Yeah.
Right. So that will change the timeline a little too.
Okay. Did I get a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. I'm sorry. I should have, you know, called for that earlier. Okay. So just so let me repeat, proposal from Sunscapes not to exceed $10,000 to 5 days worth of work to pick up all of the staged limb debris next to the curb. And I'm pretty much saying that right?
Yes.
Okay. Let me call the vote then. Linda,
Yes.
Art,
yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
I vote yes too. So what it sounds like though is that we need to make sure that we tag all of these expenses and follow up this with possible reimbursement from FEMA.
Yeah, Catherine, those two actions were actually taken under number 9 for the minutes.
Oh,
Number
okay.
9 was our general category. So
Okay.
for
Both
clarity,
of those were 9?
there was agenda item number 9 to the general removal.
Which was different from 4B.
Yeah, 4B talked about tree chipping.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
As far as the motions and actions should go under item 9, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
For the minutes.
Okay.
Just for the minutes.
Okay, so agenda, okay, I'll jump back up top. The agenda item 4C, quotes to relocate tennis benches. Okay, so we installed new benches and the tennis players are saying you're inhibiting my play. Is that what we're saying? Because they put them at the ends of the, instead of on the sides. Is that what it is?
They don't have enough room. So it's really not, it's not safe for how they have it right now. And Megan, do you want to go into it more?
Yeah, there are benches at Lakeline Oaks, at the Lakeline Oaks parks, one on either side, that are behind the courts. And the Lakeline Oaks courts are kind of like shorter than the Anderson Mill West courts. And so you have a situation where you have a bench that is directly behind the center pickleball court, and 4 feet from the line, the back line of the court. And then it's also kind of straight back from the back corner of one of the tennis courts. So we were getting complaints. Let me let my dog out. Sorry, he's gonna bark. Go ahead, buddy. Go. Sorry. We were getting complaints that, that it's a safety hazard, and that, if someone's running backwards for the ball, they can, people are like tripping over them, and that you should never have benches placed behind the courts.
So am I saying this correctly, that the benches were in exactly the same places in both sets of courts, but because one is longer than the other, it's a hazard? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, well, so Anderson Mill West courts actually don't have any behind the courts.
Oh, okay.
But the size of the courts are different, so it may have been less of an issue had they been on that court. But on the Lakeline Oaks court, which is where they are,
okay,
the courts are so short that you just don't have much room behind the back line of the court and where the bench is. And I was out there the last 2 days talking to people about it. And when I was out there yesterday, I was like, because I wanted to measure exactly how far they were. And there were some people playing pickleball. And I was like, hey, does this bench get in your way? And they were like, oh my God, yes, all the time. Can we please move it? So, and they were like, we can't even play on the center court because it's directly behind the court. So,
okay.
Why are there benches inside of the fence?
Because people sit on them when when the instructors are teaching and they have kids who are waiting, or they sit on them to put their shoes on or whatever. So the ones on the sides are fine. It's just the ones that are behind the courts that are a problem.
Okay, so what we've got is, are we going to relocate these benches just to be on the side, or are we going to actually take them over to Anderson Mill West so that they have some benches there too?
Well, I guess what we could do is communicate with the people who are using the courts and see where they think they should go, like where they would be best used. Because there's already benches on the side of the Lakeline Oaks courts. So we can either add them to the side, or I guess we can put them
in Anderson. Yeah. So, because we don't have any benches at all in Anderson Mill West. Am I saying that correctly?
I'll have to look again. I was just looking for the ones behind, but maybe not.
See, I'm thinking that there aren't any benches there at all, unless we put them in at the same time these were put in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't care one way or another, but, we have to move them because if they're a safety hazard, the question becomes, where do we move them? And I'm okay with, letting that be a decision that the Parks Committee makes. That is minutia detail that I'm more than willing to let the Parks Committee make.
Yeah, there are plenty of people who have opinions about it too.
Oh yeah.
So it's not like we don't have any data.
Yeah.
So do we need to make a motion?
Yeah, we need to make a motion. Who is this with? I can't see the is it TF Harper?
And
Yeah.
TF
Harper.
Mackenzie called them, and they are giving us a 40% discount on the relocation, since they were the ones who installed them.
Were they the ones that put them in?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, somebody make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, make a motion.
That the MUD, see if I can do this right, I have never done one, that we will remove and replace the benches at the El Solito Anderson Mill Park
They're at Lakeline Oaks Park.
and Lakeline Oaks Park.
Okay, let me stop you, okay?
I'm totally messing that up.
Okay, because what you want to say is that we accept the proposal from TF Harper
to
Why
relocate.
don't we do that? Yeah. Let's start there. Let's
Okay, that we accept the proposal from TF Harper to move the benches at Lakeline Oaks and Anderson Mill.
They aren't at Anderson Mill.
Yeah, just move and replace,
Move and replace.
relocate.
Okay,
How
Megan,
about
you
that?
do it and I'm gonna listen to you so I know next time you do it. I'm like, what?
Confusing because they're only at Lake Line Oaks Park. To the motion to approve the proposal from TF Harper to relocate the benches at Lakeline Oaks, at the Lakeline Oaks tennis courts.
Tennis courts.
Yeah. Okay, somebody give me a second.
Okay, now I will second that.
Okay. Because, and the whole issue here is that these things are like bolted down, right? Is that what's going on? So that you can't, yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's not enough room for them to play.
Yeah,
How many benches?
okay,
How many benches? 2?
yeah, yeah.
Too.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I'll go ahead and call the vote. Linda,
Yes.
Art,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
I vote yes too. Okay. Oh, you need to stop sharing. There we go. Okay. Okay. Agenda item 5. Report from the Deed Restriction Committee. So let me read this. We got Jimmy and Diana on the line, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because I know that we had, because I'm going to sort of break this up a little bit. Because we got some 5A is pending appeals. So we had an appeal that we put on hold for Birch, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And you went back through the records to show that. And so just let me recap the at the last meeting or the last DRC meeting, the DRC committee recommended that we not waive the fine because it was for the second time that they were asking for the same violation to be waived. And so the decision was to offer them a repayment plan. There was concern about whether or not this was the first or the second violation for this resident. And correct me, Diana, you went back through the records and you verified the communications with to Infomark about the fine being waived.
Yes, and I forwarded a copy of it. And on November the 6th, the email was provided to the committee, to Bill office, and to Infomark. And we did let them know at that time that the appeal for 3104 Birch had been waived. The concerns had been cleaned up. The appeal had been asked for in advance, and it was worked with through Director Rocco. The cleanup was done, and then the board voted to waive it.
Okay. Okay, so it was waived, and that was in 2019, and then the issues that we're talking about now were for the same violation that occurred third quarter of 2020. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. And so what we're saying now is we're just gonna stay with the recommendation to offer them a payment plan.
Catherine, the last meeting, I asked for a copy of the appeal from the resident, which is required to be in writing. There was no question. We already saw from Infomark that a statement that they had waived a fine that was never recorded. What I asked for from the DRC was a copy of the appeal submitted by the resident. It's required to be in writing. That's what we were looking for, was that determination. That letter would let everybody know that there had been a previous appeal for a waiver of fines. Without that letter, we don't have any way to know that. It's required to be in writing. So somebody should have a copy of the appeal request from that address.
Okay, so, so
We
what you're,
already know what Infomark is saying about the waiving of a fine. What we don't
no,
have is the appeal.
right, we had the appeal, Diana, and which the board accepted and granted. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, we did. It was worked through with Director Rocco. There was several issues at the time, and instead of penalizing them, we tried to work with them to help get things cleaned up, and they did comply and they cleaned it up. And so Director Rocco came back and said that we needed to honor our part of it and recommended that we waive it. And then the board voted to waive it.
Okay, but still what I'm hearing you say, Linda, is you want a copy of what?
The written appeal from that resident to waive those fines in 2019.
So you want the email that they sent?
If they sent an email, a letter, whatever written, a request for an appeal or waiver of fines. It's required by the rules. It's required that it be in writing. And so that way, when we get into this situation, we have something to say, yes, here, look, you asked for a waiver in 2019 and we waived your fines then. But right now, we don't have anything to demonstrate that this resident ever requested a waiver of fines ever.
Okay, so what you're saying is that it's possible that we waived the fines without being asked, so therefore.
Well, here's the thing. The records, the Infomark records, the utility record never recorded a fine.
Right, and correct me, and so Diana, correct me if I'm wrong, the reason it never recorded a fine is that we were able to capture it and reverse it without it ever being recorded. Is that what happened?
Yes, I think the appeal was done verbally straight to the DRC committee member. And we followed the directive and worked with Director Rocco to help them get it cleaned up.
Okay.
So let me paint this picture for you. You have no record that there was ever a fine added to the utility record. You have no record that there was ever an appeal to waive the fine. And now you're claiming that you've already done it once for this resident, so you're not going to do it again. It doesn't look like it's very strong to me. It looks like it would be better serving to say, okay, we don't have the documents to substantiate that we ever waived a fine for you, nothing on your utility record, nothing in the file to show it. We'll call this your first and last waiver of fines.
Well,
I think that's the only fair thing to do.
Technically, Catherine, the appeal or the email that was sent in does not have any verbiage asking for an appeal, but we took it as an appeal because they're in dire straits. So, I mean, we could go back and ask them to do a formal appeal asking for these fines to be waived. I'm not sure how you guys want to go with that. I mean,
okay, so let me just restate what happened. Is we had a director who was working with the resident to resolve the problems, and we received a notification from the resident that the situation has been resolved, and the directive from the board, one of the board members was, we need to waive the fine.
Yes, and the board voted to waive it, and then I contacted Infomark and let them know that the pending fines, because they were pending on the fact that they were going to clean up, that the pending fines would be removed from the account, and that they were never really formally posted. They were always pending.
And Catherine,
what we did was, as part of working with this resident, we held off applying them to the water bill because we knew that they were in dire straits, to use your words. And so now, I'm still comfortable that we still acted in good faith.
You have nothing in the minutes to demonstrate you ever waived a fine. It's
What we
required
have, okay, Bill, I am,
in the minutes.
I understand what you're saying, but we have board members interacting and helping residents to solve problems, and we have email communications, directing our vendors to waive the fine because the board member helped the resident resolve the problem. And I'm okay with the order of operations that entailed. Bill, tell me what I'm seeing wrong here.
Well, I don't know if I can tell you what you're seeing wrong, but I'll try to interject something that might clarify. The board policy, or that's actually a DRC policy of waiving the first fine is not in the rules. It's just a policy we've had. So when somebody comes in, they correct the violation's corrected, the DRC typically has waived the fine and said, just so you know, if the same violation comes back again, you go right to the fine stage. You don't start back at friendly letter. That's what we've told a lot of people. That's not in the rules though. The method for appeal is in the rules. If the owner wants to appeal, that's how they appeal. So in this case, it sounds like maybe there wasn't a paper appeal, formal appeal. Maybe it's not well documented, but the fines that were going to be assessed, I guess were not assessed. That the fine process was stopped. You made an exception in that case. So this idea that we only waive the first fine, we don't waive any others, is a policy. Now, there have been cases where we waived fines for someone and then we changed the next fine, we put in abeyance, which is kind of messy on your accounting and tracking. We've put some fines in abeyance and waiting to see if they will comply, and if they do, then we've addressed those later. So the DRC can waive fines even without an appeal request. That they have the authority to do that. And the board can make accommodations on fining situations as they deem appropriate. So this whole idea, like I said, the policy of waiving only the first fine or waiving the first fine to speak of, it's just a policy. It's not in the rules.
And Catherine, I think the point I'd like you to try to understand is that number one, you have waived fines for people more than once. You can see it in the minutes, just in the last 2 years of minutes I provided for you. This woman has done what you asked. I mean, she's corrected her mistake. There's nothing in the record that ever documents that she was ever in the crosshairs before, or that she ever had a waiver. And maybe it's just a paperwork mix-up, but it is a mix-up. And so why not go forward and give her this one waiver, and that way it's clean. It's in the record, the fines are on her account, you waive them here, everything's documented. It's just clean going forward. That's all I'm suggesting. If the goal is to actually correct the problem, she's met that goal. She's met that goal. So I just really don't understand why you're so not willing to bend for this address and here's a perfect example. There's a boat on Dayflower that went all the way to legal, and now that boat owner has some arrangement where he never even gets fines anymore. He gets friendly letters. Yeah, true that. It's a story I wouldn't make up. So I'm asking you, be compassionate. This family doesn't have a lot of money. They didn't even ask for a waiver in that email. They were just giving you their story. Do the right thing and say, okay, this time, because you're not in the business of collecting fines. You've said it a million times. So waive these fines. If they step out of line, they go right back to where they left off, just like you do with everybody else, almost everybody else. So that is the right thing to do because your records don't reflect you ever did anything else.
But they have 3 other violations, so it's not just that.
Yeah, I'm.
It's not the only one.
I'm perfectly happy to stay to stay with my recommendation at this point. Okay, so somebody needs to remind me. I think so. At the last meeting, the DRC made the recommendation to offer them a payment plan, and I think we've discussed this whole issue of, again, I'm willing to stay with my original recommendation to make a payment plan. Bill, what is the process moving forward? Do I just make a motion to offer them a payment plan? What do I do?
Yeah, so we treated the request that came in, even though it didn't ask for a waiver of fines, we treated it as a waiver. So the motion would be to deny the waiver of fine and offer a payment plan.
Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a motion that for the house on Birch Road, I think it is, that we deny their request for a waiver and that we offer them a payment plan. I need a second. If not.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll second it just because of the other violations.
Okay. Okay, so we've had a lot of discussion on this. I'm sorry.
How many fines did they accumulate?
Well, the history of this was, I don't remember how many fines that were waived the first time. But what caught this resident is they got caught in the pandemic where they immediately, pretty quickly once we went into pandemic protocols, they started repeating habitually the same violation. And I think they received how many friendly letters throughout the pandemic? Jimmy and Diana, 4?
Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
So they received 7 letters, friendly letters just through the pandemic protocol saying, hey, you need to solve this problem. And then they were notified when we were going off of pandemic protocol that they really needed to solve this problem. And they didn't. And then they were fined again. They have finally, after almost a year, solved the problem. And I'm saying I'm not willing to waive the fines. I guess. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at
So
that.
let me ask this question. We have documentation of those 7 fines during the pandemic, right?
Well, so 7 friendly letters. Yes, we have documentation. We have documentation that they kept repeating the same situation, kept not being resolved. How about that? It just kept not being resolved. And so that's just where I'm going to leave it.
Okay, so let me ask you, Linda, what's your communication with them? Have you spoken to
I
them?
haven't had any communication with that family in months, many months. But
Has anybody had any communication other
I
than
intend to
Sage?
go talk to them this week for sure.
Diana, did they come up with a hardship or did they give you a medical excuse of some sort?
For what? For not moving the stuff on the side of their house?
Right. Maybe they were.
You know what, Art, even that I think is completely irrelevant. And let me tell you why, because the neighbor right next door has an equal amount of junk on their side of the house. And that's been excused for just as long. And only last month, after I said something, did that family receive a friendly letter for the car parts that Jimmy identified on the side of their house. And here's the deal. it doesn't matter in the end. You're going to do what you're going to do, but this resident definitely needs some support, and it's not going to come from obviously some members of this MUD board. So I will go and tell her some options that she has. She needs to write a formal letter asking for a waiver of fines, asking to see the appeal perhaps that you're claiming she sent once before, because it's just not fair, Catherine. It's just not fair. And I just can't sit by idly and let that happen to innocent, vulnerable people. And if in fact she did get an appeal before, I would be right behind you and saying 2 times, if that's your rule and how you operate, you know, I may not like it, but that's your rule. But you have no evidence that she was ever officially fined and that she ever had a fine waived.
Well,
And
I disagree with your evaluation of the situation.
I'm only looking at
Okay.
the records.
Yeah.
Are we
Okay.
consistent? That's what I want to know. Are we consistent in the way
Well,
we
see,
do
I
this?
think, and that's just it. I think we have been consistent, and I don't want to get into the extreme black and white that Linda insists that we have to live in, because when we've got board members who are out talking with and interacting and helping to resolve a problem, when we get an email from the resident that doesn't, and just because it does not contain the word appeal, I want to appeal, I want to waive, but we went ahead and we took that communication from the resident as a desire for that
waiver.
action to happen. That's how we acted.
Where is that? Where is that
And
communication?
here's where I struggle is that we have tried to resolve this issue for over a year. And then to say that all of a sudden they get a break when others didn't, I mean, it's just, we tried and we've tried and we've tried. And why would we not, after all this time, try to recoup some of that when they didn't work with us?
Yes.
That's where I'm struggling. And that's, you know, I'm hearing something totally different from Linda, but I don't think she understands the whole situation.
Oh, I do understand.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. So I'm going to.
Let's make a decision. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go ahead and call the vote. Linda?
I vote no, and for the record, I vote no because this family is being targeted when other residents with the same violations are not being held to the same standards.
I disagree. Art?
Yes.
Megan?
I honestly don't know. I'm having a really tough time on this one.
Well, vote the way you feel.
I don't know. I honestly don't. I honestly don't know. I'm having a really tough time with this one because I appreciate both sides of the story here, and actually I don't care about the paperwork. What I care about is doing the right thing, but also doing the fair thing. And if other people are getting fined, and then this person doesn't get fined, but I also don't want to fine people if they fix the problem. So, because that's not what we're trying to do. So,
Well, based on the information, do you think it's objective or too subjective?
no, because I don't have the exact same problem Linda has. My problem is more, it doesn't even matter to me whether or not we've waived it in the past. I want to be fair to everyone, but I also am trying to consider the circumstances of this situation. And
okay, I'm going to vote yes. So it doesn't matter. How about that? Okay. Hold on.
Catherine, can we clarify who voted how? Because Megan's non-vote, she would be abstaining. Is that what
it's
you want to do, Megan?
abstain, and then Linda voted no, and the other 3 voted yes.
You haven't asked me yet.
I'm sorry, Beth. I thought I had. I'm sorry.
Nope, that's okay. And I'm going to say yes. And for the record, now that I'm on that committee, I have read all of this, and that we really truly have tried to work with these people. I'm not out to get anybody. I just think that after so many times that we just have to follow through. So that's where I stand on that.
Okay, so we have minutes from prior DRC meetings.
Yeah, I don't think the corrected minutes are ready. We were
Okay,
gonna have
'cause-
corrected and there wasn't time.
Okay,
so-
well, that makes me feel better because I didn't have any attachments.
Right.
Okay, so, so 5C and 5D, I am not going to call because of the need for the board to have an executive session before we discuss these issues. Okay, and let's see, we've already done 5E. Okay, 6, report from the Information Management Committee. Revision of deed restriction webpage.
Oh, that's just not ready for the board, so we'll bring that.
Okay. Okay, we already took care of 7, which was the tree chipping quotes. Okay.
That
we
was
took care of-
chipping quotes for residents.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, we took care of that, right?
Yeah, we
A
took care
little
of
out
that.
of order, but we took care of it,
I
right?
thought we were talking tree chipping quotes for the district.
Well, we took care of both of them at the same time, and Bill earlier in the meeting, I guess, brought it to our attention that they were not, that we handled two things and they were together, but they were not the same agenda item. Am I saying that correct? Is that we had the?
I think we generally talked about the chipping being too expensive, too complicated. I don't know if we separated between residential, offering it to the residents and the parks, but I assume.
I'm sorry.
assume that
I'm
the answer-
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm confusing chipping and hauling off of just the debris, which we took care of. Right.
So as far as
Okay.
chipping, we don't have the money, right? So
Well, the chipping was going to be really expensive.
Well, this
I
item
think
is
it's
for
a
the
moot point.
residents, though, whether
Right.
we could set up someone to chip them for the residents, and I assume that's in the same category, Mackenzie,
Yeah.
as far as
Yeah.
cost.
Well, okay. Am I Mackenzie? Am I misunderstanding? Wasn't the quote from Kathy's Trees or whatever, wasn't that about going house to house to house and chipping?
And it was $200 per house.
Yes. I'm sorry. Okay, so yes, okay, I did see that. So we did have a quote that to do the chipping for the residents and it was $200 a house, which is like really expensive. So I think we were just going to leave that there. I don't
Okay.
think we had any more to discuss about chipping.
I think
Okay.
we should leave that alone.
Well, yeah, I'm okay with the haul off, but the chipping was going to be orders of magnitude even more expensive than the haul off was. So, okay. So agenda item 8, we had some leftover business that had to be resolved from the board meeting last week to review unresolved invoices. Was there anything besides the Jana King that needed to be reviewed?
The Bickerstaff invoice,
Okay,
it just arrived late, but we agreed that we could look at it.
okay. So the
That one was left over and I didn't find anything wrong with it. Did you, Megan? So that one's good to go.
okay. Well, okay, so and I think the way we left that was that Infomark just holding the check?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
okay.
For Bickerstaff, yeah,
Yes.
Michael can release that check.
Okay, okay,
Janny King, we've already talked about.
right.
They were on the list. And then Infomark had 2 invoices, or actually 2 checks that were also held only because they were submitted late and there just wasn't enough time to look at them. And they're really complicated. So let me just go right to the very first thing that we really need to discuss as a board, and it needs a vote.
Okay.
There was one item on one of the invoices for unblocking a sewer problem, and it turned out that the problem was the residents.
Okay.
But Infomark unstuck the clog anyways, because they were there and it was, you know, overflowing, et cetera, et cetera. Anyways, the cost of that service was $1,071, but it was a resident problem. So the question is, who pays? Who pays
Okay.
for that?
So, Mackenzie, are you able to offer us a little bit of insight? Because I want to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, if we have a situation where, you know, we have to excavate to try to figure out where
This was just a jetting.
Right, I know, but see, the point I'm trying to make is, I think we've had situations where Infomark goes out there, we know that there's a leak, but we don't know where it is. And, you know, they've opened up a big hole and it's like, if it's on our side of the meter, well, of course we're going to fix it, but dang it, you know, you got a great big hole there and it's, you know, a foot into the resident side of the hole. They're not going to just fill the hole back in and say, go get a plumber. I think if they've opened it up, they fix it. I mean, they just go ahead and they fix the line. Am I saying
different, Catherine? This was a sewer backup problem that was reported through customer service. So we received a phone call from customer service stating that a customer was having a sewer backup, and she reported to our customer service rep that she had a plumber look at it over the weekend. He had supposedly jetted the line and televised it and told the resident that it was on the district side. We sent a crew out as soon as our customer service reported it over to us. Upon arrival, they found open sewage basically coming out of the stack. When that happens, it's considered a hazard. So what we then do is we go ahead and jet the line as long as the equipment is available when we have it. Sometimes we have to outsource to wastewater transport. We did not have to do that in this case. It was totally fine for us to do it. They jetted the line because then at that point, it's a question of whose side is it actually on. And so in the normal stance of this, had this just been reported by the customer to say, hey, my sewer's backed up, can you please come out? We would then tell them, yes, if we jet your line, it's basically a cost to you if it's found that the problem is not on the district side. However, when you have open sewage that's coming out, we do jet the line just out of a safety standpoint. And there's no way for us to actually confirm whose side of the line it's on when there is sewage in the line. So we jetted the line, they televised it and determined that it was on the customer side. And basically we left them with that. So that's why this one's a little different than normal. Typically we would have been very upfront with the owner to let them know, but it had already been reported that their plumber had supposedly jetted the line over the weekend.
And it sounds like he didn't. Am I saying that correct?
He didn't, correct. But I mean, we don't know if they tried or something happened. Like, we're not the plumber. We don't communicate with the plumber. So we have to go based off of what the customer is telling us and then send our crew out. And then they go based off of what they see when they arrive.
So I guess the question I have is, how did you tell that the blockage was on the customer side?
I believe that there was actually roots in her line and they were able to see those, and the 6-inch stack for the district side was completely clear of any obtrusions.
Okay.
So that's how we determine it.
So basically it sounds like this lady got taken by a plumber.
It does.
Wow.
But
okay.
You know, there was the cost of us jetting it to determine if her plumber was actually reporting correctly that it was on the district side, and they were not.
Okay. So the issue, Linda, that you're bringing up is, you know, like who gets to pay this? Do we send a bill to the resident?
How have you handled it in the past?
Yeah, then I guess that's my next question. How have we handled this in the past? I must admit, I don't think I've ever remember since I've been on the board where we had a situation where we had to jet somebody's line. I know that we've
the invoices, Catherine.
Well, no, well, we've talked. I'm sure we've talked when we've talked about it, because I can remember being at meetings where we had situations where they talked about, digging up and determining, oh, it's, it's on the resident side, but it was in the hole that we had to dig anyway. So we fixed the line. We weren't going to fill it in and tell the resident, sorry, it's not our problem. Go hire a plumber after we already opened up the hole. So, Bill, do you have any recollection of having this kind of this event happen in the past?
Well, not this specific one, but I would think in most cases like this, we would bill it back to the customer. Because it was the
Okay,
customer's responsibility.
what's the policy and procedure or rules of whatever that allow us to do this?
Well, we have rules and regulations on who's responsible for which parts of the system. Those are in our rules and regulations.
Okay.
And in this case, the customer is responsible for that portion of the line going up to our connection. In this case, the manager did some work based on the representation that the plumber had already determined it was on our side. So, I mean, I'm not on the board, but I think it would be pretty close to prior decisions if it was billed back to the customer as a charge.
Okay, so we have done something like that in the past.
I believe so. I don't remember exactly when, or how much, but yes.
And Mackenzie, what did you share with the lady?
Asking Beth. I'm not sure what you're asking. Sorry, my microphone.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to know is that, once this was resolved, what did you say to her on that we would be billing her, or did we not talk about it with her at all, or how did that end?
Confirm any form of payment that would have happened for the services, anything. So typically what happens with this situation, which I can say that we have had this happen in the past, not when we have jetted, but when we've gotten a call out in the middle of the night, someone has sewage coming out and we have to call out wastewater transport to get someone over there. Our tech sticks alongside them and then wastewater transport bills back to the district. There have been times where that has happened and the district has paid for it. However, anytime we go out and we are going to offer to jet your line or hire a service to do so, we always make it abundantly clear, so long as it's not been reported, it's on our side, that they would then pay the cost for that. So it's been a standard to follow that they would pay it if it's on the customer side.
Okay, so what sounds like the appropriate solution is to authorize that this be billed back to the resident, but I also want to say that I think we should offer them a payment plan. And so it's like $1,000, is that what it is?
$1,071.32.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of a 6-month payment plan. Does that sound appropriate?
Sure.
Okay. So
why don't we do a little bit more? Because if I remember correctly, part of her concern was financial. Can we do it a little bit longer than that?
We can make it as any term we want. You want to make it 10 months?
Yes.
Okay, so hold on. What was it? 1,073 basically?
1,071 and 32.
71. So we're looking at $107 a month is basically what we're saying. Okay, so let me pull that back up. So I move that we offer a payment plan to this resident, a 10-month payment plan to this resident to recoup the cost of jetting the line when the blockage was on her side of the line of the meters. Let's just put it that way. Okay. Okay, so can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, so what we're going to say is we're going to go ahead and pay and go ahead and approve this invoice from Infomark, because they're not going to wait for the payment plan. We'll just recoup our money from the residents over time. Okay.
that wasn't the only credit back on that invoice, and Michael is working up the numbers. There were, on the 2 invoices that we were presented with from Infomark this month, there were billing errors on both of them where we were
Okay.
billed for time or billed for services that are
Okay.
covered under the base fee.
Okay, so let me go ahead and, call the vote for this one,
Okay,
and then
go
we'll
ahead.
talk about the rest of it. Okay, yeah.
You're calling the vote for this resident to pay
Yeah,
back.
yeah, to offer them a 10-month, a 10-month payback because in the end, this should have been, her original plumber should have done a better job. How about that? Okay, Linda,
Yes.
Art,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Beth.
Yes.
Okay, I vote yes too. Okay, continue on, Linda.
So this check number 5168, that's Infomark's check, that included this invoice with the resident billing.
Okay.
Also had $629.13 worth of erroneous billing on it as well. I don't think that's the end of it, but that's where we stopped today. So Michael has to now figure out how much of that money was charged to the cap, how much of it was charged in other areas. Before I can tell you how much Infomark is owed on that invoice, he has to separate it out. He has to take off the 15% overhead. It's not pretty. So I don't have a number for you on that one, but we know where the mistakes are. They had a second check. It was number 5181. The total amount was $8,656. It was maintenance material as well. It also had billing errors, charging for base services, charging for people's time, that kind of thing. It too is in corrections. Now here's what I can tell you. So we can pay Infomark some of what they're looking for. Their operation service fees, their base fee, no question. They deserve to be paid for that. The prepaid maintenance cap, no question. They should be paid for that. So on check number 5168, the total to pay is $55,502.67. Those are unquestionable. Those fees are right. Where we're struggling with their invoices is that they're charging outside of their contract terms. Not a little, but a lot. And so I would like to make a motion that we hire a forensic accountant to look at this billing. It is that bad. And I've spent countless hours sorting it out. I've sent forward all the invoices, what's wrong with them, their contract, where in the contract it says what it says. And Mackenzie has been graciously changing everything I've found, but I've looked at 2 invoices and found over $3,000. So what is the odds that other invoices are in error to that magnitude or more? I think someone needs to look at this much closer than just me. I do. I think I really want to stand firm on a motion that we hire a forensic accountant to look at this specific billing from Infomark, because there's just way too many things in there that should never have happened, including buying tools at Home Depot and calling them supplies. A tape measure is not a supply, that's a tool. So the contract is written pretty clear that we do pay for supplies, but a supply is something that stays with an asset. It's not a tape measure, it's not a socket wrench, it's a padlock on a gate or a light timer in a park. Those are supplies. So there is a real misunderstanding here, and the billing is costing this district money, a lot of money. So my motion needs a second. I think in the best interest of the finances for this district, it really needs a close look.
Is there such an animal as a forensic accountant? I thought that was on.
Oh, yeah, no, there is, okay.
I'm not suggesting going back to the beginning of time. I think that would be ridiculous, but I think a good look by a professional that's trained in that, other than me, who's not an accountant, I think it would really behoove this district to take a much closer look at the billing. For me.
Catherine,
Yeah?
this is Christy. I can offer up some assistance on this one. What we can do is get our contract administrator in Infomark, so it doesn't cost you any money, to review our contract and our invoice going back, let's say 6 months, to verify and audit what we're billing applies to the contract. If that's good with you, then that won't cost you any money. And if something comes out of that, then you guys can go and get a third party.
Well,
I
and
think
you know, I'm,
That saves
I'm,
money.
well, I'm okay with that because what I'm trying to understand is, do we have an issue? You know, you recently moved to a new accounting system. You know, we've had a little bit of a hiccup, you know, getting that all set up right. We've had, you know, changes in personnel. I personally don't think that we have reached the forensic accounting stage, because the forensic accounting it's looking for fraud, and I don't think that we're at that stage. But I do believe that if we can have another set of eyes look at the process, because like I said, I have no problem imagining that we've had some hiccups as we've introduced new employees and we've introduced new systems into the mix.
But who would work with the contract administrator from our side? Because
So what I'm proposing is that we do an internal audit at Infomark, and we get our department, our contract administrative department, to review the invoices that we have billed and review the contract and come back if there's any discrepancies. That won't cost you anything. Infomark is going to do an internal audit on our billing. It's a separate department. It's not Michael Loft. It's somebody that's in Pennsylvania that will do the audit. And if something comes out of that, I'm going to tell you, we're going to do what's right. And that's exactly what McKinsey has done. Some of the items that Linda has found, we did bill incorrectly, and we're offering up a credit to the district for those items.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, this is one step, maybe the first step that you take. And if something comes out of this, then definitely you could go to a third party and spend some money on having a forensic audit complete done if something comes out of it.
Yeah. I'm totally, you know, fine with that being the first step.
My only concern about that, and I do actually agree that might be the appropriate first step, but my only concern with that is you don't normally go to the person who's made the errors and ask them to tell you, I made those errors. That's a little odd to me, but I would not object to that being a first step. But Christy, I will tell you that I want to know every invoice that your auditors are looking at, and I want to look at them too. Because I'm the best you got, and I'm the only one looking. So under those circumstances, I would agree that Infomark should take a first pass, but I want to see what they're looking at, and I want to make sure that it's on the up and up.
Well, I think what we'll do, Linda and board, is we'll do an audit and we'll provide a report, and any discrepancies that we find in that audit will be presented to the board, or maybe even the financial committee to review prior to it going to the board. And we would go from there.
And I'm good with that, Christy, except I also want to look at the invoices that your team will be looking at. I want to look at the same invoices that they're looking at.
Oh, absolutely. It'll all be part of the report.
All right. I'm good with that.
Okay.
All right.
So you want to withdraw your motion then?
I will make a motion that Infomark look at the last, let's say, 1 year's worth of invoices in their internal contracting audit department and provide the district with a report of their findings while sharing the invoices that they're looking at.
Okay, I'll second that. Okay.
And as far as paying Infomark this month, we absolutely should, as soon as Michael comes up with how much out of each account and the cap and all that. He just didn't have enough time, I guess, today to get to the bottom of it.
Okay, so hold on. So let me call this vote, okay, that we just had. So Linda,
Yes.
Art,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
I vote yes too. So are we in a position then to authorize payment of $55,502.67?
We are for check number 5168.
And that's what 5168 is in total?
No.
Oh, okay. So what we're saying is that we are authorizing them to void 5168 and generate a new check for 55,502.67?
Yep.
Okay.
Make sure it's a motion, Catherine.
Okay. So I move that we void check 5162. Is that correct?
5168.
5168 to Infomark and replace it with a new check issued to Infomark in the amount of $55,502.67.
To cover their operations and maintenance cap for February of 2021.
Okay, to cover their operations and maintenance cap for February 2021.
Perfect.
Okay. Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Do we have any discussion? Oh, I'll ask one more thing. So how much are we waiting for then to get the details on from Michael? What was it? What was the remainder?
The balance, well, now that you've asked the resident to pay for that thing, I'd have to calculate it for you.
Okay, but is it less than $5,000? That's what I'm trying to understand. How much?
Yes, for the
Okay.
check you just voided, that's less than 5,000. The other check is 8,656, and I don't know what that'll turn into.
Okay. So we still have.
We owe them still. We owe them.
Oh, okay.
Just
Okay.
don't know how much because.
Or where it's going to be recorded either. So yeah. Okay. So is there any other?
Did we call the vote on that one?
Didn't I call the vote?
Yes.
I thought
Yes,
we
it
did.
did. And yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let me interject. Linda, you made a motion that was not seconded regarding an accountant.
Right.
Do you withdraw that motion?
Yeah. I asked that she withdraw it and she made another motion.
Did you amend your motion?
I amended the motion for Infomark to do the first pass.
Okay, so that amended your prior motion.
Yes.
To hire.
Okay.
Okay, and one other comment real quick. If we did go down the road of getting an accountant or a CPA firm involved, we'll have to follow the procedure of going out for requests for qualifications first.
Okay.
They fall under that same act.
Okay.
Hopefully we don't have to go down that road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Okay, so agenda number 9, proposals for disposal of trees, limbs. We've done a lot. We've talked about this a lot. Have we covered it all?
That horse is dead.
Yeah.
I love that.
Agenda 10, resolution authorizing disbursement of Anderson Millworth Beautification Fund. So I think we've got.
Yeah, Catherine, I'm gonna suggest that we wait on this action item until
Okay.
March meeting.
Okay.
I'd like to make a statement though, if I could, on item number 10.
Sure.
Bill, you have any problem with that?
No, you can make a statement.
I just want anybody who's on this call to know that the original lawsuit that I filed against the MUD in Amwana was amended this week. My attorney did amend the suit from just looking for a judge's opinion on the ACC over my property It is now including using public funds to pay Amwana's legal fees and using the district rules to impose fines on people's water bill. I had him amend my lawsuit because I felt it was important for protecting the people in this neighborhood. If I'm going to have a judge rule on authority over my property, then I figured I may as well have a judge rule on how public funds are used and how the district rules can be used to enforce deed restriction fines. So anyone listening, so there's no misunderstanding, my lawsuit was amended this week to include those two new items. So I just felt it was really important for people who are watching to know that I am still fighting for their rights.
Okay. Agenda item 11, resolution concerning disbursements from beautification fund, allocation of fines collected.
So this item was requested by Linda. We had a prior meeting where she wanted to make a motion regarding beautification funds. So we agreed to put it on another agenda. The only thing that I included in the agenda packet is the current resolution.
Okay.
I guess I'll let Linda present what she wants to present on it.
Well, actually, I think we really already did this, but what I noticed missing on your attachments was, and what I was looking for was the original resolution that set up the beautification funds.
Yeah, we've not been able to ever locate that.
Okay.
The best we can tell, it probably happened in the mid-90s when the recycling funds were available, but we were not able to locate that. And that's part of the reason we did this resolution when we did, to document it. But we do know the funds were set up in those categories. And we, Hunter's Glen, because at that time there was no Hunter's Glen 2. So that's how the funds were set up originally.
So if you're going to keep that, if you're going to keep a beautification fund, and that's questionable in and of itself, but if we were going to keep one now, it would need to be modified to include all sections, right? Hunter's Glen 1 and Hunter's Glen 2.
Well, the board considered that previously when we adopted this resolution and decided to keep it the way it was. Now, and since you made your comment, Linda, your lawsuit is broader than you stated, and you actually challenged the establishment of beautification funds in the first place in your lawsuit as well. So I'm not gonna, in this meeting, I'm not gonna engage in any legal advice regarding the beautification fund for that reason. But you certainly can make your points to the board as far as possibly amending that resolution. But the resolution in place does not have a separate account for Hunter's Glen 2.
Well, my only point in that is you've excluded, or that resolution excludes almost a little over 100 homes or 100 property owners from ever having access to that money. And that again is not fair. So that's all I really wanted to say about that particular fund.
Well, the board has the authority to spend the money how they would like to. So if there was a project in Hunter's Glen 2 that was worthy of the board spending money, they could do that even though there's no HOA to request it. And also add that over the years, and it's been several attempts with the residents of Hunter's Glen 2 to encourage them to reactivate their HOA. And if they did that, that might be a cause that would be appropriate for funds to be expended.
Well, the resolution says that you can only have access to the funds if you have an HOA or a neighborhood association that can request it.
It says those are the only people that can request it, but also the board can spend the money in any way it chooses. So let's take a hypothetical where residents of Hunter's Glen 2 wanted to take action to get their HOA reactivated in their ACC, and they were going to go hire an attorney to do that. That would be something that the board could consider, even though they're not an HOA yet. The board can consider on its own to expend those funds.
I see.
And in the past, it's been, actually we met with residents several times and explained the process to them, but they would have to go out and get a lawyer, go through the process of reactivating it.
Yeah, my initial reach with that 100 homes is they don't want an HOA, so.
Right, right. So, but there might be other beautification projects, landscaping projects. I don't know what's out there.
All right.
Okay, we ready to move on? Okay, board agenda item 12. Board approval is required for any district-related project or activity. Do we have a resolution for this?
I haven't drafted a resolution. You asked that we have an agenda item.
Right, okay, so this is the reason why I asked for it. The concern that I had was in prior board meetings, Linda talked about recruiting residents to go do projects or activities on her own in the district. And my concern is if we're going to have some sort of project or activity going on, it needs to be a district sanctioned event. And I will give you, an example of something, an example. A couple of years ago, the Girl Scouts wanted to, make additions to the Garden of the Wild Things. They wanted to do new plantings. They wanted to install a fence. That was an activity where they came to the board and they asked permission to do that. And so I just want us to reiterate that if we're going to have projects or activities that are being done on a voluntary basis by our residents, they need to be sanctioned by the district. So that's why I asked it to be on the agenda, and I want to direct Bill to come up with a policy or on how to handle this activity.
Well, Catherine, that makes sense to me since those Girl Scouts wanted the MUD board to pay for it and the MUD did pay for all that. Any other community activity, it would have nothing to do with the MUD. If I wanted to start a neighborhood watch, it would have nothing to do with the MUD.
No, but if you're going out and doing some sort of tour that is being relayed back to, and we're acting on the results of it, well, then I disagree with that. And to clarify things, the plants when the Girl Scouts did the planting, all of it was
the planting. I'm talking about the fence. I'm talking about
the district didn't pay for the fence either. You want
No.
who paid for the fence? I paid for the fence.
Well,
and I asked to do it. So no.
Okay, relax. Calm down. Relax. Fine and dandy. If I want to do a neighborhood watch, I don't need district approval. If I want to report every street light that's out, there's a link on the MUD's webpage where I can do that too. So
yeah, my concern is that when you are drafting volunteers to do something that is going to be reported back as an activity by the MUD, that's my concern.
I don't.
And all I'm saying is, before you go draft your army to go do some activity that in the end is supposed to benefit the MUD, bring it to the board instead.
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
Get it? If I felt like you needed to be involved, I assure you would be.
Okay,
But I'm
so
drafting together an army to cut up some of those logs because I know people with chainsaws, and not everybody has one. So I am looking to put together a crew to help people cut up those limbs that are laying all over the street. I hope you don't object to that.
But not in the parks.
No, heck no, not in the parks. We
Okay.
pay landscapes for that. No, I'm talking people who have logs they can't move to the curb because they're too big.
Listen, that is people dealing with
I'm building community stuff.
right. Yeah, you're Ted Cruz handing out water. I get it. Okay, so but anyway, Am I out of line here? That's all I need somebody to tell me.
Yeah, I
Am I out of line here in terms of we need to have a policy in place as it relates to recruiting?
Neighbors.
No, recruiting our residents to do things on behalf of the MUD. That's what I'm trying to get to.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Here, here's the biggest that we have to be careful of, going out there and doing some of that. There's liabilities because we are all MUD directors. So you just have to be careful and think.
Yeah, Catherine, I think there is something for anything on district property. I thought
Right.
years ago, there's already.
Right. There already is a policy and procedure, whatever, that talks about, district property. I totally get that. Yes. And see, what I was concerned was that didn't cover these other types of activities where we really wanted to have an understanding of what groups of people are doing on behalf of the MUD without telling the MUD that they're going to do it beforehand. So Bill, give me some feedback here. Do I need to let this rest, or what do we need to do?
Well, if there are no activities in that category, we could let it rest. I think the primary concern would be if a single director organized people to conduct activity and it was perceived as a district activity. Then we could have some potential liability. If that's not occurring, if there's nothing occurring like that, or we don't perceive it to be in that category, then we probably don't need it.
Okay. Well, I'll let it drop and hope that we don't have to revisit it then.
Well, as long as you're not saying who you're with.
I missed that, Beth. What was that?
No, you just can't say I'm here with the MUD or I'm from the MUD or any of that.
Okay.
Right. It can't have the appearance. Can't have the appearance of being a MUD activity, unless, of course, it's gone through the board. Because with volunteers, they could get hurt, and our insurance may not cover volunteers.
Well, and once they know that you're a part of the MUD, or you're with the MUD, or you're representing, or you're trying to be a neighborly MUD person, and somebody gets cut, which could happen very easily with a chainsaw right now, then all of a sudden we have a lawsuit.
Yeah. Okay. So,
well, I wanted to clarify one more thing. So what are the disciplines? I know, Linda, you sent us that write-up of what people are doing for you and helping you out. And
I only sent it to you because all the others have access to the cesspool.
Okay. Well, I did receive it and I did read it. So all these disciplines that help you out, it would be good if they shared that with the MUD. I know you do.
I do. I bring it to you. I bring you their input.
Okay, so I don't know how to take that. I guess, it's good that they're volunteering, but I don't know if we have MUD business. How do we handle that if somebody wants to volunteer? Why don't they just come to us, to the committees, and we'll do it that way?
Okay, well, that one, you lost me, so I haven't seen any of this on what you're talking about, Art. Can you share with us what she sent to you?
No, it was just it was a write-up that she shared with everybody, right, Linda?
Well, I put it on Nextdoor, and I also put it on Facebook. So I would imagine that the rest saw it. If you didn't see it, I'll be more than happy to send it to you.
Yeah, I don't Facebook, and I don't social media, period, to be quite honest. I think it's an evil
I thought everybody
activity.
had public knowledge to this.
That's a wise choice. I really thought that by now they would have seen it. But basically, I sent a posting. I put a posting out after your accusation, Catherine, last meeting that I was an expert at everything. And in fact, I am not an expert at hardly anything. But I have a list of resources at my disposal, and I use them all the time. And that list includes engineers and architects and landscapers and accountants and court reporters and paralegals, and the whole list. I'll send it to everybody so you're all on the same page, because I wanted you to know that no, I am not the expert. As a matter of fact, I only profess expertise in one or two things, but I rely on people who are experts to guide me. So if I have a question, for instance, about drafting an RFQ for an engineer, I am not an engineer. I don't draft RFQs, but I know people who do. And so they gave me a starting point. I fix it, and then I send it back to them and say, did I hit the mark? And they'll correct me or whatever they do. And then I sent the draft. I use those resources because I don't know everything, but there are a lot of areas covered in this MUD district where I do have personal relationships that are experts in these areas, and I do rely on them when there's things that are out of my wheelhouse. I don't understand the nuances of project bidding and where and how you know how much a project's going to cost. And but I've been given that information. It's been very valuable. It's been invaluable when looking at Herb's invoices. It's been invaluable when looking at the Infomark invoices. Guidance is always welcome where I come from. And so I don't sit here and try to profess that everything is perfect. If I have people who say, no, you really should look into this, or you want to check this, or go look at that, then I do that.
Okay.
Well, it'd be great if you could send that out, because to think that you've got experts that are doing that for free. Most experts don't give anything away for free. So it would be great to see all that.
Yeah.
Okay, so agenda item 13, consultation with district attorney regarding district contracts.
And so Linda wanted to talk about this topic, so I put it on the agenda. But Catherine, since we've decided that we're not going to have an executive session tonight,
yeah,
we could bump this to the next meeting where we do.
Okay. Minutes from
executive session?
No, we're not going to have an executive
No, I
session.
said, does this topic need to be discussed in an executive session?
Well, I think it's legal advice. Do you think it's something other than legal advice?
I didn't know I don't know how detailed we were going to get into it. What I asked you for was if you could explain to the board why we do contracts, what the purpose of it.
Sounds like legal advice to me.
Then if that's what it is, then that's what it is.
Okay.
So we can put it on the next agenda and try to have an executive session that time.
Okay. Agenda item 14, minutes from prior regular and special meetings.
And you have 3 sets of minutes, and actually the first invite had 2 sets have now been revised, so I attached a revised. Make sure you're looking at the revised agenda packet item. It should be the only one that's on your invite now. And I guess they came from Lee, so she probably can help you with any changes are made.
There we go.
There's 3 meetings in that packet.
But was it one continuous?
Yeah, it's one PDF.
Okay.
I scanned it one PDF. It's three sets of minutes in there.
33 pages.
I forget how many pages it was. It was super long.
33.
Yeah, 33 pages.
Okay, so I guess the question is, where were the corrections highlighted in such a way?
At the last meeting, we didn't have time to review the minutes. So then we said we'll bump it to this meeting. And so the versions that were in the last packet, if you actually reviewed those, were modified. And that's what the revised. Two of the meetings were modified. So I don't know if Lee can give you some idea if you had reviewed the other version where it got changed, but we did not vote on these at all yet.
It'll give me the dates of the minutes. What's the first one? December 16th?
Yep, that's the first one.
And then
December 16th.
Yeah, on page 21, January 11th shows up.
Correct.
Didn't you have some corrections for December?
No, I did, and Lee made all the corrections that I asked for, and when I asked to hold the December 16th meeting minutes because I thought it was misrecording my votes, she did not misrecord my votes. She got them perfect, and I have looked at all 3 of the minutes that you're looking at now, and they are perfect.
So make a motion.
I make the motion that we accept perfect minutes the way they're written.
All 3 meetings?
All 3 meetings.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
we're gonna approve all 3 of them at the same time?
You can do that if you want.
Okay, so the motion has got all 3 dates in them. Do we need all of those?
December 16, January 11, January 20.
20th. Okay, and we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so then I'll go ahead and call the vote. Linda?
Yes.
Art?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Beth?
Yes.
And I vote yes too. Okay, so agenda item 15, future board meetings. Okay, so the next board meeting is scheduled to be the DRC meeting, correct?
Right. So
And
that
that
should
is going to be the 15th?
correct.
Okay.
Is that the agenda you want topics for, or can we do any future?
Okay, so this process of 3 meetings, you know, it's a little bit tricky. We're getting through it. The first meeting, the DRC meeting, is supposed to be only DRC items.
Right.
The second meeting, which will be that following Wednesday, is our regular board meeting where we do the engineer, infrastructure committee, manager, and any time-sensitive items. So if you have time-sensitive items, we could put them on that agenda. The third meeting is where we ask for items from the committee. So it's not a perfect process. It's taking some work, but if there's something really urgent, we could put it on the DRC meeting. But what we're trying to do is keep it just all DRC items on that.
Right. Well, okay. So let me voice my concern here, as I really think that we need to have an executive session DRC meeting specifically about the lawsuit by Director Fobb. And I think it needs to, and we've got time element issues that are going on. So I'm thinking we need to have a meeting that is nothing but an executive session prior to the 15th. That is the only thing. It's going to be an executive session that does not include Linda.
So you're talking about a 4th meeting?
Yeah, I think we need a meeting on the 1st or the 8th.
Okay,
That's what I'm saying.
So that would be a special meeting. Let's talk about the date.
What day is the 1st?
It's the Monday.
Well, I don't know that I can. Okay, today is Wednesday. We'd have to post by Friday.
We couldn't, okay, it would have to be either the week of the 1st or the week of the 8th. I'll just put it you that way.
So
hold on, let me go get my calendar.
What about March 3rd is a Wednesday? That way we stay on Wednesday.
Yeah, yes, yes.
6 p.m.
Yes.
Okay, and just that single agenda item?
Just the single agenda item.
Okay. So I certainly can do that. Do we know if we have a quorum? I guess Art's not there right now, but we need to make sure we're going to have a quorum on that day, March 3rd, 6 p.m.
What did we decide on, March 3rd?
March 3rd.
Does that work for you, Art?
Does
that work for you, Megan?
Yes.
I got an audit meeting on March 3rd. Do we have some kind of meeting on March 3rd?
No, that was February 3rd was a special meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you go to the next month, March, and see.
Yeah, I'm in March. I just must have put it back. Okay, I can do March 3rd.
Okay.
So we'll post a special meeting for March 3rd, as indicated.
Yeah, and it's just gonna have one agenda item and it's gonna be executive session only.
Okay.
Now,
So
you will
it-
have to, you will, Catherine, you will have to take public
Yes,
comments.
yes, we'll have to have public comments and then we will go into executive session and that is all that's gonna be discussed.
Okay. The lawsuit will be on the agenda through the executive session. If there are any actions needed, we will take it in open session afterwards.
Right.
All right.
I don't know if this is something that can be resolved easily this month or just something to think about, but I do feel like I'm struggling a little with the 1 week gap between the two, between the regular meeting and the equivalent of this meeting. Because it's a pretty tight turnaround to get stuff, like see what's going to be on, figure out what's going to be on the agenda after the regular board meeting, get it in time to be posted, and then get it kind of, you know, taken care of by the, so I feel like the last couple times there have been things that I've put on the agenda because I was super hopeful we were going to get it done in time, but then for whatever reason, it didn't. I was something about the spacing of the meetings.
Are you saying that it would work better if there was a 2-week gap between the board meeting and the follow-up meeting?
Possibly.
Yes.
Yeah,
I-
like spacing it out a little so we can get something early in the month and later in the month.
So like we're doing sort of like a every other week kind of thing?
Well, yeah, I mean, right now it's 2 weeks back to back. So I guess, I mean, same number of meetings either way. It's just.
Yeah, hey, I don't have a problem. I just, if that is going to be, you know, result in more things being ready to be on the agenda, you know, I'm, you know, whatever works. Where we don't want is we don't want these 8-hour meetings, because we're trying to do it all at once. So that's where we are there.
Well, and this is the reason I have this agenda item on all the agendas, future board meetings, so that we could be a little bit flexible if we had to. So like next month, we're going to do this March 3rd special meeting. Then we're going to have the DRC, and then we're going to have the regular meeting. We get to the regular meeting and we feel like we want to go 2 weeks out instead of 1 week. We can make that call at that meeting too.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
We have to have some predictability though for the participants.
Right.
Well, I think Megan should make that call, you know, and say, well, you know, I'm running tight on time.
Yeah.
And we do it.
Well, we have other people. We have the Infomark people and we have the Save people too. So
yeah.
And I mean, they're not complaining about this schedule, but we have to consider that.
Okay.
Well, you guys are thinking about that, and I was just forwarding the email that Beth asked for. I have an email from a constituent. He says there are 21 neighbors that cannot get into this meeting because the information posted on the website doesn't connect to this one. He sent the email to all of us. Yeah, he's requesting
the agenda, the codes on the agenda did not work for them.
Apparently, yeah.
Okay, that may be on a Zoom. That might be a Zoom problem. Occasionally, people have trouble connecting to meetings, but that may be a Zoom problem. Ms. Deevy's on this meeting, and she would have used the codes, I assume. So.
No, she would have used the code I sent her.
You forwarded the direct link to her?
The meeting number is wrong on the website, MUD website.
You had the same trouble last week. And so I had her check it. And Sarah had sent a message early on in the meeting. The information on the website is not matching and she couldn't get in either. And now this gentleman's telling me 21 neighbors and he wants to request another meeting so he can be heard before a motion is given. Says, I believe we have a right to share our opinions since we were not given one this evening. That's pretty upsetting.
Okay, so I'm looking at the agenda and I'm looking at the invite and the meeting ID and the password are the same. So again, I'm not sure what why it's not taking that information in Zoom.
Maybe it's a Zoom problem because he says the meeting ID does not work. It states invalid.
Okay, but it's all I'm telling you is The agenda has the right ID. So I think it's a Zoom issue.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's.
And I can't control that really, but I'll make a note of it and maybe we'll try to get with Zoom and see what could happen, what could prevent people from coming in.
Bill, how many, I know that for Zoom, it depends on what you pay per month for how many people can be on a Zoom. So how many?
We pay for 500.
Okay.
His concern was agenda item 5E. What was 5E?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but it's not because the numbers are wrong.
Okay.
The numbers are right.
Well, that's.
Or other people couldn't get on either. So.
How do we deal with that? These people tried to get into a public meeting and couldn't. How do we deal with that?
5E is the comma court.
Bill, how do we deal with that?
Well, I mean, they'll have an opportunity at the next meeting to speak at public comments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there was no decision made here, right? Did we vote on that?
On which one? Item 5?
5E.
5E, no. And we talked about the fact that we didn't vote on it and that the residents that are on the line, that have been on the line, would have an opportunity to talk in public comments before we vote on it. So they will have an opportunity.
So he didn't miss an opportunity to vote, or he didn't miss an opportunity.
Comment before the vote, yes.
So, Bill, let me ask a question. Is the meeting ID exactly the same every week because this is a recurring?
No, it changed. The system generates a new ID and passcode. Every meeting, yes. Is different.
And, because is it possible to put the link on the website versus just the text ID and password?
The short answer is yes, we could do that.
Okay, so, okay, well, that's a solution. That's all. I'm just gonna leave it there at that.
I think that, yeah, that should work.
But again, this is not because the numbers are wrong.
Yes, I agree.
There's something happening, probably at Zoom, that for whatever reason the code's didn't.
So I don't know anything about, logging in with just an ID and password. So do the spaces between the number bunches matter?
Shouldn't matter.
Okay. Okay. I was just curious. So it's sort of like a telephone number is what you're saying.
So I'll look into whether we should change how we put the information on the agenda.
Okay.
All righty.
Okay. So at this point, we agreed that we're going to have a meeting, an executive session meeting on the 3rd, and that we'll make a decision as to whether or not our 3rd meeting of the month is going to be the week, have a 2-week gap in it. And we'll wait until the 15th of March to make that decision. Do we have anything else that we want to add to the scope of future agendas? Okay, well, then somebody make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Great, I want to add something to your agenda.
Oh, okay.
But it won't be the DRC one for sure, because it's not DRC related. But I want to add to, and I'm not sure which one this would be best in, Bill, but the lady that called in about MUD taxes, she wants me to research locking in MUD taxes for seniors. So we need to put that on agenda so it can be discussed, and I'll do research up front. But which agenda, I'm not sure.
What is she asking for, Linda?
She would like some consideration for seniors 65 and over to have their MUD taxes locked down, probably very similar to how school taxes locked down for seniors, something in that vein. I did do a little bit of preliminary work, and it is possible for the MUD board to make a decision like that. I just don't know the impact to the finances. How many seniors are we talking about? I don't have any.
Yeah.
But I did tell her that she did call in and make a public comment.
Right.
A couple of months ago.
Yeah, so in January, I think.
I heard you. We'll put it on the agenda and we'll talk about it, and we'll look at, what can be done or what are the issues, or,
right.
You have to talk about it eventually. So that's the agenda.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So 16, somebody make a motion to adjourn the
I
meeting.
motion so.
Okay, I'll second that. Everyone say aye.
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 Before
Have a
10
good-
o'clock. Yes.
Bye. Have a good week.
Night.
Okay, have a good week. Bye-bye.